Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
The great and powerful Yannis Pappas.
Joe Rogan.
Gentlemen, my man.
The greater and more powerful
Good
Joe
to see
Rogan.
you, my brother. What the fuck's happening?
Not much. Just been in Austin. Did the Vulcan this weekend. It was great.
That's a great room.
Great room. Great crowds. Been having fun. Austin had barbecue about 15 times already. Every time I come here, I don't have solid shits. It's a tough town to have solid shit, and it's hard to find fiber.
Do you have an issue after you eat there when you say solid shit?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by solid shit?
I mean, there's just no fiber in the meal. It's just meat, jalapenos, cheddar sausage.
There's a little fiber in
A
those.
little tiny bit. Not enough
Coleslaw?
A little coleslaw.
Get the coleslaw in there to lube up the pipes.
Yeah, I got some peach cobbler. There is a layer of grease around it, but I don't know. Yeah.
The body shape is consistent amongst people that enjoy barbecue.
Yeah.
It is a hearty body shape.
It's very pearish, yeah.
Very farmer fucking bear huggish. What happened there? Lost me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but it's the fucking best barbecue on earth. You know what all came from German immigrants?
I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah.
it was like black people food.
Adam Curry explained the whole thing to me. Germans came over here from Germany.
Yeah.
And they smoked their meat over there. It's a common way they prepare meat. So like smoked sausages and stuff like that, like those jalapeno cheddar sausages they have at Terry Black's, that like originally started out German food.
Oh,
Yeah, they're like really good at smoking meat.
yeah.
You know, it's like when you go to Montreal and they have smoked meat sandwiches. You know, like the Jews, that's the way they handle their brisket and their corned beef and stuff like that. And then they do it differently over here, but it all comes from Germany.
Oh,
Isn't that wild?
That is wild. They do like their meat over there.
Oh, yeah.
I went there. Their cuisine is atrocious.
Is it German food?
I went to like a 4-star German restaurant in Munich, and it was ballpark food. It was like frank applesauce, sauerkraut, and mustard.
When you go to a place like Italy, the food is so good. It's amazing they get them to go to war.
Yeah.
You know, like I
Yeah.
think that's my theory, my conspiracy theory about why English food was so bland. Well,
Yeah.
England dominated the fucking world forever
Yeah.
with that bullshit ass food.
And the Germans too. Yeah. They don't.
Nobody with fucking great food. Thailand's not taking over anybody.
Right. Yeah. They don't know how to enjoy life, so they're motivated. Yeah.
Exactly. Like how'd they talk the Italians into doing it?
They barely did. I mean, they weren't that good. No offense, they weren't that great fighters. I mean, they invaded Greece, World War II. We beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, listen, my people are not designed for that.
No.
They're not designed to go to war. But they were with the Roman army, which is wild.
That is true.
Back then, when syphilis was running rampant, everybody
Yeah.
was dying when they were 12.
Yeah.
You could get people to fight easier.
Well, was that before Marco Polo? Like maybe that was before Marco Polo brought the noodle over. Like maybe that was before
Maybe
pre.
the noodle ruined everything.
Ruined everything.
They figured out pasta.
Yeah, once they got the pasta, they were like, dude, I
What
can't.
the fuck is this?
It's too good. I can't. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Like the food that we consider Italian food is we think of it as it's East Coast immigrant Italian food.
Yeah.
You know, I learned that from Bourdain. He explained all that shit to me. That it's like we think of our food over here is like what immigrants would eat, and they would make everything very filling. And, you know, a lot of pasta and a lot of, like, breading in the meatballs and lasagna and all that stuff. You don't really find that much in Italy.
Yeah. No, you can't find a good chicken parm hero.
Right.
Yeah.
Or lasagna.
Yeah, they're
a
always like-
spicy rigatoni.
Yeah.
That's fucking American food.
Yeah. You get it in Italy, they give you like 4 gnocchi.
Yeah.
And it's like very light, and they eat such small portions. And when you're American, you're like, where is the lumberjack special?
Well, I guess that's probably real similar to a lot of Chinese food over here, right? Like, I mean, how authentic is... There's a lot of Americanized Chinese food with the heavy monosodium glutamate,
Yeah, I don't
which,
think
by the way, is fucking delicious.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they use it.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think they have General Tso's chicken over there.
Probably don't.
No, and I don't even think Indians have chicken tikka masala. It just they figured out something like white Americans like, and they went with it.
Oh, sort of like when you get Chilean sea bass. That's not a sea bass.
Right.
That's a cod.
Yeah, and if you get chicken in China, I think like it's the foot. Like you know how like you'll sue if you see a chicken foot. Over there, they're like,
Nice.
That's what I was hoping for.
Right.
Can I get some rat fritters on the side?
That's what's interesting about some cultures. They take food that we would just chuck and they make it delicious.
It's like a
like
delicacy.
Mexicans with menudo. When you get all the what is it called? It's intestines, but it's what is the word for it? Tripe? Yes, tripe. So it's like cow stomach and stuff like that. And it's all boiled up in this pot with this like heavy, thick, spicy red sauce. You ever have menudo, like real menudo from a real legit Mexican spot?
I haven't. No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There were some spots in LA where you could get menudo. And there's this one, what's it called? The Big Burrito that was in they have like weekend menudo at some of these spots. Like
Yeah.
they only cook it up on Saturday and Sunday when everyone's hungover. It's fucking insane.
Well, the Greeks have the same thing. It's a delicacy, and I love it, and I was raised on it. It's called kokoretsi, which is the guts of the lamb wrapped in the intestines, and it's delicious. And then mayaritza, the soup, they put the guts in the soup, and it's delicious.
Isn't that what chitlins is?
Kind of, yeah.
Isn't that-
yeah, I think it's the same thing.
How do you spell it differently, right? It's spelled like chitterlings, I think.
And I think it's
How do
they
what
do the
people
pig.
say?
It's the
Is
pig.
it pig intestines?
Yeah, I think
is
it's
that what
pig
it is?
intestines. Yeah, we do the lamb, dude. Greeks are the biggest predator of lambs. It's not like the wolves. It's Greeks.
Lamb's very good for you.
Oh, it's great.
It's very easy to digest, apparently. For Jordan Peterson is on that carnivore diet thing. His wife is, but she only eats lamb, and she's found like that's her sweet spot is just only eating lamb. It's very nutritious.
Yeah, it's sweet meat.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good, but it's also a baby lamb
What
or
can
a
you
baby
do?
sheep.
Yeah.
Rather, that's what a lamb is.
Yeah, what can you do?
It's like we have a name for it.
Yeah.
We're just eating babies.
Yeah.
But that's what veal is too. Like if you have a veal parmesan,
Yeah.
you're eating a baby cow.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the thing is, like, is that worse or better than killing it when it's older and eating it?
I was about to think that. Yeah. Is it better like to not let it have a good life so it doesn't? I think it's fine.
The lamb thing is different than the veal thing, though, because the veal thing is actually a process where they give a baby cow anemia. The way they used to do it, they used to tie. It's really horrific. They used to tie them up, and they would feed them some of them were milk fed. They would call it milk fed veal, but I don't know if that's how they did it. I don't know what they fed them, but whatever they fed them, they kept them in the dark. They kept them motionless so that they have no muscle. Like whatever you get, it's a very small amount of meat that's on it in comparison to a cow, obviously. But that meat is just soft as butter, which is kind of creepy.
It's creepy, but
Not even kind of.
But what are we anthropomorphizing it though? Like, does the lamb know? Does the animal know?
We know.
Yeah, we know.
We
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's why, to me, it's always been weird if people freak out if you eat bears. If you tell people that you eat bear, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, if there's a thing out there that you should be eating, it's bears.
But trichinosis.
Yeah, but you just same with pork. You
Yeah.
just cook it.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure you have a meat thermometer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to be perfect, right, with bear though, or else you
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
know what you're doing.
Yeah, you can get it. And
Yeah.
apparently, according to my friend Steve Ranella, who's an expert in this, because he actually has trichinosis, he said that 90% of all the cases in trichinosis in this country come from people eating black bear.
How many people are eating black bear?
A lot. You'd be surprised. Yeah,
got-
you'd be surprised, particularly in Alaska. They eat it a lot up there. They eat it a lot in places where it's traditional to hunt there, like Montana, even in New Jersey. New Jersey finally is reinstituting the bear hunt because the governor, one of the things he ran on was stopping the bear hunt. But then human-bear encounters rose by over 200%. There was a lot of human-bear encounters with aggressive bears. And so they said, oh, you really do need to manage these populations because they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it only takes like a couple of years for a bear to get big enough to fuck you up. It's
Yeah.
not like a person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah.
And so then you have these 4 or 5-year-old giant fucking bears running around, eating people's dogs, tearing up your neighborhood. They're like real predators. They don't know the rules.
They have them up by me, and supposedly, are they dangerous? Because people are like, they're not dangerous. So
Of course they're dangerous.
They always run away.
Most of the time they run away.
Yeah.
But they're 100% capable of killing you.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a chicken.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
not a wild chicken running loose.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever see that video of the two duking it out in Far Rockaway, New Jersey?
No.
Oh my God, dude. There's so Far Rockaway. It's like a very nice neighborhood. Very, very like suburban neighborhood. And there's these bears that look like they're easy 300 plus pounds. And they're going to war, knocking over trash cans, fighting the street. Cars are pulled over and stopped. And they're fighting over which bear gets to raid the garbage. Because they all eat the garbage. When a bear finds out there's garbage in an area, he's coming back. So look at these guys. Imagine your fucking house. Look at the size of those things, man. And they're duking it out right on the front lawn. Those are big ass bears, man.
They're shooting the fair one.
And so these bears are fighting over territory.
The territory being the garbage.
Yeah, the garbage. And also breeding. So this is probably around the time where the females are getting hot.
Yeah.
So it could be one of two things that they're fighting over, or both of those things. Or just dominance. Like they don't want another big male trying to take over the territory. So these guys they're like lions that are duking it out, except they're doing it from someone's fucking mailbox. That's a giant predator, man.
That's crazy.
Like
yeah.
if that thing chased you down and wanted to kill you, you would have zero chance of survival.
Yeah.
Zero. Absolutely zero.
They say don't run, right? Don't turn your back. You're supposed to
There's
pretend
no
like you're a bear.
All that shit's bullshit.
Yeah.
It depends. Depends on why it's attacking you. It depends on if it's a mother with cubs that just wants to neutralize a threat, or if it's predatory. And with black bears, they're more likely to be predatory than grizzly bears are with people. Most of the attacks on grizzly bears and people, it's a surprise thing, like or a mother with a cub, or occasionally an old male that's like having a hard time catching deer and elk, so just decides to start fucking you up. But black bears are, for whatever reason, they've killed quite a few people. It's not as many as like car accidents and heart attacks,
Right.
but it could.
Right.
It could get high.
Well-
it all depends on if you let them grow where they're everywhere like coyotes are.
Yeah.
You got a real fucking problem.
Yeah.
It's not that it could, but I'm saying if that happened.
All right, I'm getting bear spray. That's it. I'm
Even
getting some
bear spray doesn't necessarily work.
So what takes these things down?
Bullets.
All right.
Yeah,
I
it's
got one
almost
of
like
those.
you need to scare them off with a gun or shoot them.
Yeah.
Depending upon what's happening, But it's fucking terrifying that people anthropomorphize those things and turn them into like teddy bears and Yogi Bear and this and that. And if you kill one and eat it, people will absolutely get furious at you.
Right.
But I'm here to tell you, I've done it and they taste good.
Right.
They taste good, and we should probably do more of it. It's
Okay.
like they're out there. Like you need them too. They're a part of the ecosystem. You need them to manage the populations of ungulates, so they'll eat all the calves.
Do they eat deer?
Oh yeah. They
Because
eat babies.
There's too many deer.
They eat mostly. They have incredible senses of smell, and so they can smell when a female's given birth. So if they're anywhere downwind of a female giving birth, they're going to find that baby and they're
Yeah.
going to go eat it. They eat something like 50% of all elk calves and deer fawns. 50% of them get eaten by bears.
I always wonder about that because the deer fawns, the mother just leaves the fawn, right?
In the grass
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
And somehow it's like doesn't have a scent on it yet or something. So
I don't know what that is. How could it not have a scent?
I saw one once just like chilling by itself, and we went and we petted it, and we were like, "Is it dead?" Because I didn't know that that's what deers did. And then eventually it ran off after I petted it again. It ran off, but it was by itself, just kind of laying under a tree.
Yeah, when they're really, really, really young, they just stay put.
Yeah.
Which is very vulnerable. Maybe it's because it's like they figured out like the mother can't really watch them and get food. But how's the mother even getting food? Does she give? Is it just milk? I guess it's just milk when they're that young. And then I wonder how long afterwards they can start eating grass.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they walk right away, which is crazy.
Yeah, like
Right out, they're like, hey, what's going on?
yeah.
We're the only animal that comes out just fucking useless for 2 years.
We are so useless. Probably more than 2 years. Probably 2 years back in the day where things were rougher.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
A 2-year-old dog can protect your house.
Yeah, 2-year-old dog's like 45 years old in man years. He's ready.
Yeah, 2-year-old dogs are big dogs.
Yeah.
They're fully grown.
Yeah,
I mean, my dog was probably like, at 5 months, he was probably like 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah, they're more ready to deal with the harshness of reality.
Not my dog, dude. My dog's not dealing with any harshness.
Well, I mean, but if you turned Marshall into a working dog, like if it was bred to be a work, it's ready.
Well, I'll tell you what he is. He's the enemy of all squirrels. That motherfucker loves squirrels.
Oh, he's got it out for squirrels.
He's got it out for squirrels.
Yeah.
That's his number one hobby is hunting squirrels. It's crazy because it's like, other than that, he's the sweetest dog of all time. Yeah. But with squirrels, he's the boogeyman. He's a murderer.
Yeah.
He's kind of soft. He's a big fluffy guy. So he's not like a fucking raptor. Like he's really clever about how he approaches it. But he catches them slipping.
Yeah.
He catches them slipping. He's caught quite a few slipping.
It's cool when you see like a sweet dog and then that instinct comes out, that killer wolf instinct comes out around squirrels.
Weird.
They're just, and then they see a fucking squirrel and they lock in and they just want to murder. My dog did that to a skunk recently.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's my first brush with that. It is brutal.
That happened to me when I was 13.
Dude, skunks are effective.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible. We had to get tomato juice. This was like when I was 13, when we had a dog that got attacked by a skunk. This is 79 or 80 or something like that. I guess it was 1980. So no one knew. There was no fucking solvents you could buy at the pet store that cleaned that shit off. You use tomato juice.
Yeah, I don't even think any of that stuff works, too. I mean, this happened like a couple months ago. My dog still smells like a homeless person. It's like a homeless person sleeping in my house.
It's so crazy how effective that smell is.
It was so funny to watch, too, because I saw my dog see the skunk, and my dog's sweet, too. She's so sweet. She saw the skunk, and I could see in her mind, she was going like, oh, it's just like a tiny little squirrel. I'm about to fuck this shit up. So she lunges at it, and skunks are badass, dude. They're like the NRA, like gun-carrying Republicans of the animal kingdom. Because my dog's ready to fucking do jujitsu, fuck it up, and that skunk just went, I wouldn't do that if I was you. I'm strapped. You know what I mean? My dog lunges, and the skunk just turns around and fucking laser beam diarrhea shot right in the face. Dude,
you were there for the whole thing?
I saw the whole thing. Dude, they're the only animal that's strapped.
Yeah,
they got a gun.
It's true.
And it's effective.
They got bear spray.
Yeah. And I read like less than 4 or 5% of skunks get killed by predators. Like it's a really effective defense mechanism.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're tiny. And then the skunk, after he sprayed the dog, he just kind of walked away like business as usual. Another motherfucker stepped up and found out.
Oh, my God. When I was a kid, I had a cat that looked like the raccoon. And we were convinced that the dog probably thought that raccoon or the skunk was my cat because we had a white and black cat. It was like real close to skunk looking. It was a very fluffy cat.
Yeah. Did he attack? Did he stay away from it? Like I ain't fucking
No,
with it.
no. I think I was dumb. I was 13. I didn't know anything about animals. He probably knew it was a skunk or knew it was something other than his cat, like that he lived with. But I thought maybe he came up to her like, "Hey, what's up?" and then just gets blasted in the face. What the fuck? You're not Tony.
The smell is so potent up close.
You know what they say it's like? It's like, you know how a bloodhound can track a person with just like a little bit of clothing? You know, they're using their ears and shit and all the jowls. The reason why all that stuff is floppy is because it kicks up smell.
Oh.
You know how like disgusting people fart and then they go like that smell? Take a good whiff of their farts. Yeah. Well, that's wafting up smell. Yeah. Well, that's what that bloodhound's doing when it's running. Because they're running and their ears are flopping and all the lips are, all that shit is moving around and it's sending that smell into this super powerful nose. Well, the way they smell stuff is kind of the way it's similar in like the ability to detect it. Like we smell skunk.
That's so interesting.
Because, you know, a skunk can blast someone a couple of blocks away.
Yeah.
And you're driving home
in
your fucking car. And you're like, wow, somebody got a skunk. Oh, Jesus. But it could be pretty far away from you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like right there.
Yeah, and the wind takes it, kind of just pull it. Yeah.
Apparently that's what it's like to be a bloodhound. You're like, what the fuck is where's that bitch?
Yeah.
Where the fuck is he?
Yeah.
Now, a bear's nose is something in the range of, see how much stronger a bear's nose is than a bloodhound? Because I don't want to overstate this. But I think it's like 900%.
More than
900% more powerful.
That's insane.
Something crazy, like 9 times more powerful.
Wow.
I might have exaggerated.
Right.
But it's a lot better.
Yeah.
We'll find out what the actual number is. 7 times. I exaggerated.
That's still,
7 times more than a bloodhound. Yeah. They use bloodhounds to find fucking people to just smell their shoes and catch them running through the woods.
Well, if you think about a dog has what, like 9 million more smell receptors in their nose or
Yeah.
something. So if you think about it that way, then a bear 7 times more than that. That's insane.
Not even just a regular hound, a bloodhound that's designed for that. So a bear has 2,100 times better smell than a human.
That's insane. Yeah, they could sniff lunch yesterday on you.
They probably can pick out the pickles.
Yeah.
Right? They can smell the pickle in the barrel.
Yeah.
Oh, there's pickles in that barrel.
Yeah.
There's a sandwich. Somebody left a Chick-fil-A in that fucking barrel.
Yeah, it's insane. When you think about like how smart we are, we're pretty smart. But if you could say that they're equally as smart in another way. Like to be able to smell like that is like a superpower.
It's a superpower.
Yeah.
It's definitely not smart, but one of the things that's happened is as we've gotten smarter, we've had less need for senses. So our senses now, like, I'm fucking so bad at knowing how to get places, and I've been here for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm always relying on my phone.
Yeah.
Why would I fucking pay attention? I got other shit to pay attention to. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Tell me how to get to Terry Black's.
Yeah.
Boink, poke
Yeah.
it in there, and it just tells me where to go.
Yeah.
Because of that, like I've sort of like opted off that sense of direction to a machine.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone's number anymore.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
You know anyone's number?
I don't even know my wife's number. No.
I know my wife's and maybe, Eddie Bravo's. I got Eddie Bravo's memorized. That's
Right.
it. That's
Right.
all I know. Everybody else is like, I got to look at my phone.
Yeah.
We've opted off our memory to it. And we've opted off all of our other senses to civilization. You know, you don't need to smell everything if you're living in a fucking house. You're pretty protected. You know? Oh, you got guns now? Well, you barely need a sixth sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing is sneaking up behind you when you're walking through the fucking woods with a bunch of guys with guns.
Yeah.
Right?
We're totally detached.
Yeah, there's probably some atrophy in just natural detection and senses.
Do you think we used to be able to smell better before all this stuff?
100%.
Yeah.
100. I think every biologist would probably agree that we lost some senses. And we certainly lost like physical strength and hair all over our bodies to protect us from the elements. Why? Because we invented clothes. Clothes
Yeah.
are better.
Yeah.
So once you get covered up in clothes, you don't fucking need them.
Yeah. And smell probably was super important back then, right? Because like you'd be able to smell rotten meat or
Sure.
bacteria and things. Yeah.
And you'd also be able to smell animals.
Yeah.
Like when you go elk hunting and you're walking through the woods, you smell elk beds. You smell them. Like guys will turn and look at each other and go, you smell that? Smell that? And you can smell like this wafty smell of elk.
Yeah.
Like they have a very specific smell. And that's just a bitch ass nose like mine.
Right.
You know, useless fucking nose.
Yeah. Maybe there's a way to strengthen it, like take it to the nose gym and just like
Maybe.
do like sniffle lifts.
Right. You got to imagine those guys like the wine guys. What are they called again?
Sommeliers.
Sommeliers. The sommeliers.
Yeah.
Like they have a sense of smell that's probably far superior.
Yeah.
Right? They're smelling the oaks and the tannins and they're smelling the vintage. Like that's part of their gig is they smell it, right?
Yeah. So they train it. They probably that's like they train it to get good. They have
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
or they're
other
just
things-
lying, or they're just doing it for show and going like, you know.
People have educated ears, right? Like people like music composers, they have educated ears. Like they're hearing things that probably you or I. Do you play any musical instrument?
No, I played piano when I was little.
I don't play shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck's going on. I just enjoy it. So for me, I'm uneducated ear.
Right.
I'm just listening. But they're listening in terms of like they understand where the music is going and where the beats are. And like they could see it. If it was written out on paper, they could read music on paper.
Right. And do you think you could train it though to get stronger? Like
More
so
aware
you
for sure because you have more information. Right?
But like hard, like so you can hear things that are farther away or less lower in volume.
No wonder. Probably not.
Like
I think it's probably an evolutionary thing. It's probably an over time the organ just got less powerful. But I bet the organs vary. Like Cam Haynes and I are the same age, but that motherfucker's vision is so much better than mine. My vision sucks. Like if I'm looking at my phone now, I gotta like fucking get squirrely with it. In the morning, I put reading glasses on. I don't even bother trying to read the email on my fucking phone with no glasses and screw something up.
Yeah, me too.
It's very blurry. But Cam has no problem.
Who's Cam?
Cam Haynes, my buddy, who's the same age as me. So he has zero problem with his eyes.
Yeah.
Which is very disturbing to me.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like organs are better on some people. It's just like some people have bigger dicks. Some people have better brains.
Yeah.
These are real things.
Yeah.
And some people can hear better.
Yeah.
They just have better hearing.
Yeah.
That some people have better eyesight.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have a better sense of smell. You don't think Ari's sense of smell is better than yours? You're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your mind. If you want to fucking have a smell off with Ari Shaffir, that dude has a massive advantage on you.
He's got a snout. Yeah.
That bit that he does in his special about doing coke.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Oh my God, it's so funny.
His special was so good. It really was. It made me think, at least, like, damn, I want to step it up for the next one. I maybe have it be about a theme, or at least make the production look as good as he did. I just had him on my podcast, and he was telling me about how he really put a lot of money and effort into the set and even the lighting around the theater. It looked so good.
Yeah.
And he'd been working on it for 5 years, and it showed, man. It was really refreshing. And the timing couldn't have been better. I mean, the Kanye basically was his PR.
It's amazing. The timing's amazing.
It was so perfect.
The time is like the universe threw him a bone. That's really what it was. Like, Ari, you've been a good guy. The universe is throwing you a bone now.
Yeah.
And he did the work. He did it the right way. He worked on it for a long time. I got a chance to see it here at the Creek in the Cave in Austin, and I'd seen it before, like a couple years back, and it was way better now. It was just really tight, and he seemed playful with it, and he's had such an amazing life. I mean, that guy was basically a super religious. I guess he's Orthodox? What was he? Orthodox Jew?
Yeah, he's Orthodox Jew, yeah.
And quit.
Yeah.
Said, fuck this.
Yeah.
But he has this experience to draw upon and convert to comedy that's different than anybody's.
Yeah.
So when he talks about it, it's not like you or I making a joke about something crazy that's in the Torah. Like, he grew up on it.
He knows it. He's
Yes.
an expert in it.
And he's a legit professional stand-up comic.
And he's a legit professional Jew. I mean, he's Jewish all the way, yeah. From soup to nuts. It was. It also did that thing I think that comedy does best, where it it brought everyone together by exposing all these kind of strange things that we consider strange now in the modern world, and saying like, hey man, you have that too in your religion.
Yeah.
And so it made you think of the stuff that was similar to those weird things in your religion. I know I felt that way. I was thinking about, Greek Orthodox Church and all the strange things they make you do, and you're like, yeah, we're all the same. We just have different superstitions and
You know what
beliefs.
religion is like? It's like when Congress signs a bill. And how much did you read of that bill?
Yeah.
There's a 3,000-page bill. You got it 48 hours ago. What the fuck are you signing? So there's probably a lot of shit in that bill that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
But the bill, overall, the tone of the bill is going to do some good in the community.
Right.
And so you're willing to go along with it. That's what it's like. That's what the Bible is like. That's what the Torah is like. That's what all these religions are like. They're like a big-ass congressional bill that nobody ever read through all the way. But you agree with it because the tribe agrees with it.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is better for the community. This is better for our people.
That's a great point. I think that's great about it. It's kind of exactly like that. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking shit. That's why those patterns exist in cults. Those patterns exist in religions and in government. It's groups of people that have extraordinary power, and they get to a position and they control people, and they control people with an ideology. Whether that ideology is political, or it's a Democratic Party, or whether it's religious, or it's the Catholic Church, or it's the same kind of thing. It just happens kind of every time human beings get in a big group of people together.
Why do you think that is? What is it in human nature that makes us prone to that?
We get bored.
You think that's
we
what it
get
is?
bored,
Yeah.
and we want to take over a flock and start fucking everybody's wife.
Yeah.
Give me all the money. We get bored. What else is he supposed to do? He's got his own cults. Well, everybody's listening to me now. Well, how far can I take this? I'm gonna start banging people's wives. They always go there, man. It's like the natural progression. The caterpillar becomes the butterfly.
Yeah.
The fucking cult leader, he bangs everybody's wife.
Dude, I was flying in when I was flying in Austin this time. I was watching a Knicks. What is it called again, Jamie? The Albany cult. Nixium.
Oof.
I was watching the documentary on that, and so when I got off the plane, I was watching on my phone, and I saw my buddy Matteo Lane. He's a really funny comic, and he's gay, and so my head was blown. So I just started talking about it immediately. I'm like, this dude, because what he was doing, he was fucking all these girls, and he was branding them.
Oh,
he was
Jesus.
branding them right by
That's
their
right.
vaginas.
I forgot about that.
And I was talking to him, and he just goes, Matteo Lane goes, it made me laugh so hard. He goes, Jesus, what straight guys have to go through just to fucking get laid. You got to start a cult. You have to go through all this manipulation just to get some pussies.
That's hilarious.
You're right. Like gay guys just throw their abs on a dating site and they're just
Bam,
like, let's
inundated.
fuck. Yeah.
I wonder how they get anything done. Like I have a buddy of mine, he's a good-looking guy, and he's on the dating apps, and he fucking can't get anything done. And he told me he's swearing off the apps now.
Yeah.
You know, but when we were talking about Will Harris. Sorry, Will. he talked about it on the podcast, though, right? He did, right? Yeah. Will's this big, tall, handsome guy. And everywhere, and he's successful. And everywhere he goes, that fucking thing's blowing up. Like, if you're on those apps, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to think straight. You're not gonna be able to get a relationship, like a real relationship. Like, how are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
Unless you like really playing musical chairs. And when that music stops, you got a chair, and you're gonna stay in that chair. And you're not getting back on that app. You don't even get a check.
Yeah.
You know, like someone will say something sarcastic in a text, like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Yeah.
Fuck her. I'm gonna check the app.
Yeah.
And then you're swiping right, or what is it? Left, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I'm awful.
You're giving them a star, a thumbs up, whatever the fuck you have to do.
Yeah. Swipe right or swipe left on the Tinder. Yeah.
What they're doing is, it's like you have too much access.
They've taken away the challenge or the hunt of anything.
It's a fuck fest.
Yeah.
It's a wild fuck fest.
You could basically order pussy to your house like food delivery.
Yeah, or dick.
Or
Whatever you
dick.
want.
Yeah, whatever it is. The dick comes easier
and
quicker too.
How long before people are doing it virtually? You know, how long before when they develop haptic feedback suits and fucking Neuralinks and put on VR goggles, people are just gonna just fuck random strangers virtually, and it won't even count.
Yeah, I actually thought about this. Right, like I used to always want a quick death. Because, you know, I always used to say like, dude, I just want a quick death. But then I started thinking like, if I have a quick death, then I'm only going to be able to think of like one person and like be like, oh, I'm going to miss that person. I love that person because it's so quick. But now I want like a long, drawn out death because of the metaverse. Because like you could have cancer and be incapacitated, but you could just go in the metaverse and be walking and fucking. And there's got to be some pleasure in living mentally in the metaverse, even though you're dying of like some terminal disease.
Once something
I'm
comes
like, keep me
up-
alive. I'm in the
Yeah,
metaverse.
like-
I got a girlfriend. I got a house. I got
Well,
a wife.
maybe it'll keep you alive anyway. Maybe if you're really hooked up to a thing, it'll just keep your consciousness alive because it keep your body alive electronically. Like that's totally. I mean, they do that kind of with respirators, and when they use those heart pumps on people when they're having a heart surgery, they take your fucking heart out.
Yeah.
And you're still alive.
Yeah.
And they put a new one in there, and then they reconnect everything, which is fucking wild.
That is wild. It is.
Fucking wild.
They can do it, right?
Oh, they do it.
and they
man.
get something that just keeps your heart beating. They
Yeah.
can keep your heart beating.
Yeah.
And then just put your consciousness.
My friend C.T. Fletcher's got someone else's heart in his chest.
It's crazy.
He came on before the podcast and after the podcast. And he thinks it's a woman. He thinks it's a woman's. They don't tell you whose it is.
Right.
He
just-
has a feeling that it's an Asian woman.
Wow.
Yeah, just randomly, I think.
Did he
Yeah,
like?
he said that, right? I'm not out of school with that.
Did he find himself like going and putting a jab application in at a massage place?
Son of a bitch.
He's like, it must be an Asian
You son
woman.
of a bitch. You know, it's interesting when people go through something like that too, because then they become like very, very compassionate and very, very aware that they've been given a new lease on life, and you know, and then you're also like deeply connected to this family of the people of the person who died and donated their heart, and that's keeping you alive. And you can meet these people, like you have a part of their loved one inside of you, which is pretty wild.
That is so wild to think about.
Wild
Yeah.
that they can do that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to be able to 3D print them, man. That's going to be the future. They're going to be able to 3D print hearts and organs and liver and kidneys. They've already started doing shit like that.
That's gonna be wild. Would you like? I don't even know if I'd want to continue to live past
Listen,
like 80.
bitch, you're going to keep going.
Keep going, right?
You're going to keep going. Why not? They could turn you into Thor.
Yeah, but don't you think it would get trite? Everything would kind of just get trite. Like,
Yeah. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There'll be no more Bobby Kellys. They won't exist anymore. Everyone's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Not that Bobby's not perfect. He's but the perfect, the flawed
You mean his
perfection.
look?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the flawed perfection is one of the beautiful things of life, and that's what we're going to miss. You're not going to get your Joey Diaz's. You're not going to get your Patrice O'Neal's or your Louis C.K.'s. You're not going to get any like really weird people that had to go through a strange childhood to develop the personality that they have now, which everybody loves so much.
Yeah.
Like all the crazy people that we know, they all had like some very unideal childhood.
Yeah. That maybe that's the if there's simulators or a god or whatever, maybe that's the whole point of this, was for humanity to evolve all the way up to get to that point where we can achieve perfection, and then they just pull the plug, and that's how because they always win. I mean, nature always wins one way or the other.
Nature wins, right? But universes also exist, right? So, like black holes exist, quasars exist, comets exist, all this stuff exists. So how did it get to the point where things evolve to the point where human beings have cell phones, human beings have electric cars, human beings have, like, we were animals in the forest, and now we have nuclear bombs. Like, we're that far along. The idea that it stops right there is crazy. I think we just keep integrating with technology, and eventually we become like a god. I think whether it's 1,000 years from now or 100,000 years from now, I think if the human being stays alive, the species stays alive, and nothing happens that resets us back into the fucking dark ages again, we get to a technological point where we control everything in the universe. I think that's what a god is. I think that's what happens to intelligent life when it gets to this ultimate state of technological achievement and control over its environment. That's probably what the universe made us for.
So
we're like little fucking salmon spry. What are they called? Fry. Yeah. Little fuckers going up the river, not even exactly sure what they're doing, but the universe has a plan for us to feed a bear.
So, to feed a bear.
I mean, the universe has a plan for everything. I think there's like a legitimate pathway. I mean, obviously that plan can get fucked up, but then it restarts. The universe doesn't give a fuck about time. If the whole Earth explodes, like if the Earth gets hit with another planet like it did in the past, like there used to be Earth 1, and then Earth 1 was hit by another planet which created the moon. That's a leading theory, right? Isn't that just a theory? Is that a theory, or do they know that that's real?
Just roll with it. Yeah.
But I think that's definitely a theory. But the point is that we got hit by a fucking planet.
Right.
A planet hit us. And then everything sort of just got obliterated. Life slowly evolved and came out of that and became what we are now. Like what we are survived getting hit by a planet. It just wouldn't do it in 100 years. Our problem is we're fucked because our timeline's so little. This little baby timeline, little blinky 100 years. In terms of the universe, that's a nothing. The universe is fine with restarting civilization back to cave people and then having them figuring it out again. They doesn't give a shit.
But maybe it's just part of the plan that we end, and then like rats and roaches get to evolve.
That could happen too.
And go to like rat and roaches cafes and.
Well, that's a good question. Like, why didn't the fucking put that back up again? Why didn't dinosaurs evolve? Collision with lost second satellite would explain moon's asymmetry. Oh wow! So Earth may have had 2 moons. Earth once had 2 moons, which merged into a slow motion collision that took several hours to complete. Whoa! Imagine seeing that. Imagine looking up in the sky and 2 moons collided with each other and are merging. Holy fuck. Both satellites would have formed from debris that was ejected when a Mars-sized protoplanet smacked into Earth late in its formation period. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. Whereas traditional theory states that the infant moon rapidly swept up any rivals or gravitationally ejected them into interstellar space, the new theory suggests that one body survived parked in a gravitationally stable point in the Earth-Moon system. Wow.
So the Earth got a Stockton smack to make
Boom. It. That's more like a Francis Ngannou left hook. We get hit by a planet, son. Yeah. That's a real problem. But that could happen again. And if that happens again, the universe doesn't care.
Right.
We just care because our timeline's so little. Right. So we're like frantic and anxious because we have so little time. And we realize in the greater scope of everything, it's not that important.
Yeah.
It's only important to you, and it's important to people who love you. It might even be important to communities, and might be important to civilization.
Right.
At the end of the day, the universe. If you keep going, that fucking Alpha Centauri doesn't give a fuck if you make it or not.
Right.
Doesn't give a fuck if you're late for work, if you're stuck in traffic. It doesn't care if you have a flat tire. It doesn't care if you get cancer. It doesn't care.
We just want to keep it going because now we're aware of it.
Because we have a goal.
Yeah.
We're trying to become the next thing.
And we have it good. Like things are good now.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, like if my life was horrible, I wouldn't care as much. You know, now that I have kids, I care more. Like I always wonder, like a guy like John Stamos, him dying is probably going to be harder than me dying because, like, you're just not going to want to stop being John Stamos.
It's a good spot.
He's going to go to heaven and be like, it's not that great. It was pretty fucking. I just had it.
He had a good spot.
Yeah, he had a good spot.
Yeah.
He just was genetically gifted, musically talented, great actor. And then he goes to heaven. Yeah, now he's like, I'm just walking down the beach with Jesus. This is kind of a downgrade from where I was.
I think we're all going to become a new thing. I really do. And I think it's probably going to happen inside our lifetime.
So you think we'll be able to survive the next right hook from like a asteroid?
Not. Maybe not. We might not. I mean, that's what that whole Graham Hancock series that's on Netflix right now called Ancient Catastrophe. That's what it's called. Ancient Apocalypse. Ancient Apocalypse. That's what it's all about. It's all about the evidence that points to the fact that human beings probably were super advanced somewhere before 12,000 years ago, and we got smacked by comet debris. I mean, they even know what the comet is, the Taurid comet shower that comes every November and every June, and that Taurid meteor storm, whatever it is, the meteor cloud, that exists. They know physically we pass through it, and they know there's some big pieces in there. And they think that some of them smacked into Earth around 12,800 years ago, and there's like evidence in core samples, and there's all this evidence in terms of like these buildings that they can't explain. Like, where the fuck, who's making this shit? Really wild stuff, man.
So besides the dinosaurs, they think there was something else?
No. The idea is that anatomically similar human beings, they used to think that anatomical human beings were only like 50,000 years old. Then they moved it to like 200,000 years old. And now they're moving it past 400,000 years old, like us, similar. So that means that's all that time to get better at stuff. Like, think about how much better we got in 200 fucking years.
Yeah, what were people doing? I mean,
Exactly.
pick it up, dude. Fucking lazy.
Well, they figured out technology, and technology accelerates everything. But if you go from 1820 to 2020, that is not that long.
Yeah.
In terms of history, that is, you think of like the Genghis Khan era, when you think of 1200, 1200 to 1400, do you think it's that much of a difference?
Yeah.
It's all barbarians and crazy folks and syphilis and fucking hacking people to death and shooting arrows at them and shit. They don't even have muskets, right? Did they have, when was the musket?
Musket was like right before.
What year was that?
Right before the Revolutionary War.
Was
like,
it?
Yeah, it's like it had to be 1700s at some point.
Well, the Chinese were the first to figure out gunpowder,
Yeah.
but they did it for fireworks.
Yeah.
They didn't figure it out for weapons.
We took their stuff and just kind of made it better. Let's be
Well,
honest.
that's why
We
we
did that
owe
with-
them one with all the electronics.
we do. Yeah, they're hooking us up now.
Well, they're stealing all the intellectual property. Like, hey, we had the reason why we're running shit because we stole gunpowder.
And the noodle. Yeah.
The noodle and gunpowder.
We took the noodle. Yeah.
Yeah, but the gunpowder thing is legit.
And
Like,
yoga. And we took yoga now.
well, that's Indian actually.
Oh, well, South Asian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Indians. That's a fascinating culture, right? For thousands of years, they've been doing yoga.
Yeah.
Who figured that out?
Some dude.
He's
So
like,
they
I know
also
how to stay calm. Get out of here and fucking.
they also got the Kama Sutra.
What is this, Jamie?
Musket, 1500s, 1600s,
Oh.
1750 rifles started taking over.
Interesting. So 1500s. So the time from the 1200s to the 1400s, that ain't shit.
Yeah.
Nothing changed.
Yeah.
You still got bows and arrows. You still got swords. You still live in Game of Thrones style.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. That's the only way you could do it. You got catapults. You know,
Yeah.
those are so unspecific.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah.
But now, in just 200 years, things are just insane. You could fly to Japan
Yeah.
tonight, right
Yeah.
now. In a plane, land in Japan, pay for things with your phone. What?
We've
What?
once we figured out a little security, we were able to let our mind and imagination go.
And our noses got shitty.
Our noses got shitty.
Our ears went bad.
I'm telling you, I think it's when we teamed up with dogs. I think that's really what it is.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
right? That must have had a big effect.
Yeah, they think that had played a role too in us beating out the Neanderthals.
Oh, interesting. I thought we just fucked them all. That's
We,
what I
I
figured.
think we probably
fucked 'em.
we probably killed a few too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We killed people. Why wouldn't we kill other kinds of humans?
Yeah,
You know?
and now they say that I think I think it's Asians and Europeans, Caucasians have like some Neanderthal
Me.
DNA.
I have
Yeah.
57%
Yeah,
more
you're about
than a regular person. I do. I got a 23andMe.
How much do you have?
There's quite a bit in
Yeah?
there. Yeah. Someone fucked an ape man. You know, I was reading something I wanted to ask about on this podcast because I want to make sure that this is not just like this one person who wrote this. Someone wrote about, they had that that hobbit person on the island of Flores, that 3 foot tall, tiny person that lived on that island of Flores that they found, that lived within human time period. I think like they found bones that were, I think they lived there, what was it, like 17,000 years ago? Something along those lines. They think they might have had the same sort of thing in Hawaii. And they were talking about this legend of this tiny little hairy man that lived on Hawaii. Well, if they lived on the island of Flores, and if at one point in time the sea level was way, way, way lower, like during the Ice Age, and people traveled back, like when we think of people traveling across the ocean, we think of the ocean that we have. But the ocean during the Ice Age was like 400 meters lower. Like crazy distance, right? Something like that. And in some spots, there's giant continents that don't even exist anymore. They're just covered over by large swaths of ocean. That is something that Graham Hancock goes over in this thing. Well, if that was the case, and little tiny people figured out how to get over to an island at one point in time, there's a thing called island dwarfism. So that like things that live on islands, they get really small, like little tiny elephants and shit, and tiny humans, and that's what they think. Like in order to preserve resources, these people just got really small.
Interesting. It's sort of like when you have a plant in a smaller pot.
Yes.
It only grows a certain...
Like bonsai trees, I guess, because you keep trimming them. But I think that might be a different thing.
Well, like I've had some plants where I've had them in tiny pots and then they didn't grow. They only grew to like this much, and then I put them in bigger pots and they just fucking...
You know what's fucked, though?
Got bigger.
With lizards, the opposite happens. You leave lizards on an island, they get bigger.
Wow.
That's like the Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
That fucking thing's huge.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest monitor lizard.
And rats never stop growing, apparently. Like they never stop growing.
What?
Yeah, they're insane. They just keep growing.
What's the biggest rat ever?
There's a big one. There's a fucking big one. I was looking at something recently, and it's a massive rat. Also, they can chew through brick. Those things are fucking... They're going to survive if we get hit by an asteroid.
Are their teeth like beaver teeth where they keep growing?
Yeah, they keep growing, and they can chew through brick.
That's wild.
Through brick, they can chew.
I believe it.
They're nasty,
let's
too.
go to Hawaii thing first before we get to the biggest rat.
So
Did they have a legend of a tiny person?
There's a myth of something called Menehune, Hawaiian people.
Here we go. Historical accounts of the little people of Hawaii. I guarantee there was probably something similar. I don't guarantee. I'm just taking a guess. But I mean, if they have the thing in the island of Flores, have you heard about the Hobbit people?
No, I've never heard about it.
Okay, so this mythical clan of Hawaiian people are known as supernatural stoneworkers with a long-standing connection to the west side of the island of Kauai, Hawaii. Historically, Hawaiians believe that I don't want to fuck this up, Menehune Hawaiian people to be small humans. In fact, there was a clan of people on Kauai and another on, how do you say that?
Kau
area of the Big Island in the early 1800s that Hawaiians identified with an earlier migration. This highly respected R.S. Kukendall, professor emeritus of history at the University of Hawaii, also concluded that the Menehune were humans. Oh, wow. Interesting. But then another guy, ethnologist Bruce Cartwright, sums up the problem with the lack of any evidence of material culture in the Hawaiian Islands, indicating a race of pre-Hawaiians and the lack of ancient traditions relating to such a race other than references to the Menehune people has been a puzzle. However, in 1851, the Bishop Museum Bulletin, the Menehune of Polynesia, described as the only survey about Menehune theories, concluded that the Hawaiian people were not real humans.
So what were they?
I don't know. This bulletin claimed that Hawaiian culture was altered under the influence of European contact, and thus stone structures whose history had been forgotten were credited to the mythical Menehune. Oh, that's possible too. But for sure, they existed in the island of Flores because they have bones. And so what they found out is there's a mythical creature called the orang pendek that lives in, is it like Polynesia or something like that? We've talked about this before. But they still have sightings where people claim to see these tiny little human-like creatures where they're covered in hair. They always thought it was bullshit. But then they found them on the island of Flores. They found bones and they found tools. So they think these were in some way some sort of intelligent human type creature that lived alongside human beings and lived in this one time period.
Wow.
So they for sure know that.
I don't know how to respond to that.
What happened? Is that your
Fucking
watch?
Siri.
Fucking Siri. That bitch is always listening.
Yeah.
Will you go to the island of Flores timeline? Homo floresiensis. Floresiensis? That's how you say it.
So essentially there was
Floriensis. Homo floriensis.
wow. So there was multiple types of hominids living like concurrently.
Yeah, exactly. So when do they think what's the timeline of when they think they existed? So it says now dated from 60,000 to 100,000 years ago. Oh, the most recent evidence of their existence back to 50,000 years ago. Okay, so originally they thought it was 12,000. Okay, here it is. Initially thought to be only 12,000 years ago. However, more extensive stratigraphic and chronological work has been pushed has pushed the dating of the most recent evidence of its existence back to 50,000 years ago. The Homo floresiensis skeletal material is now dated from 60,000 years to 100,000 years ago. Stone tools recovered alongside the skeletal remains were from archaeological horizons ranging from 50,000 years ago to 190,000 years ago. So 50,000 years ago, for sure, there's like anatomically similar humans, and those things lived along with us. So it's like, when did they die off? Because in order for them to find them, they have to find their bones. And the thing about like leaving bones behind is things eat bones. So like if most things that die in the forest, like you ain't gonna find shit. Like try finding a dead mountain lion or a dead bear. You'll find them for a little while, and then eventually they'll eat each other. They eat the bones, and rats will eat the bones, and then you get like little pieces of bone all over the place.
Right.
And eventually those will probably be eaten by insects and other creatures. Like over the course of like 100 years or 1,000 years or 5,000 years, things almost have to be fossilized, or they have to be covered in some mud or some shit where they can dig to them and nothing eats them. Nothing. So like, how many of them existed that you have shit that you're finding from 50,000 years ago? Because they found quite a few.
Right.
Like, when did they die off?
Right.
Was it 10,000 years ago? Was it 20? You know, were they around 100 years ago? Like, what is that?
Right. It's hard to know, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have a lot of evidence left to find.
And if they did live on that island there, then they know that was a real thing on planet Earth.
Right.
And if that was a real thing on planet Earth and people are seeing them, I think, is it Vietnam where they found the orang? Where there's been recent sightings of this orang pendek? And some of them are by like pretty reputable people.
How big were they? Were they like pygmy?
Tiny.
Like
yeah,
smaller
tinier,
than pygmy?
Tinier. You know, like 3 feet tall.
Wow.
Little tiny hairy people.
Yeah.
Imagine what a trip that would be.
Trip.
You're walking through the forest and, you know, you're with your wife and she's complaining and she's swatting mosquitoes. And then all of a sudden you see like you're surrounded by little 3 feet people.
Yeah.
And they have like swords.
It's wild.
Or spears rather.
Yeah.
Bows and arrows and shit. And they're coming towards you. Little tiny people.
At some point, if there was that many different hominids on the planet, it's almost like a supernatural fiction. It was almost like living in Game of Thrones, which is
For
wild.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably preyed on each other's babies. You know, just like bears do.
Yeah, maybe they did, yeah.
For sure they did. They found out they can get a baby.
Or maybe they were super fucking cool.
Baboons steal babies.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, baboons will steal your baby and eat it.
Yeah,
They don't play by the rules.
No, and polar bears will fucking chase down a baby if they're hungry and just eat it, right?
One gulp.
Lions.
Throw
Yeah.
that baby back.
Yeah.
Boop, boop.
I saw zebra once drowning a rival's baby in the water.
Oh,
it was brutal. Yeah. Animals, they lack manners sometimes.
They don't have any rules.
Yeah.
You ever see a Komodo dragon chucking down a whole monkey?
Oh yeah.
Just like when you see them swallow a deer
Yeah.
and shit.
They just
they'll
use their throat and kind of.
just swallow it. Like a thing that's like half the size of their body. They just swallow it.
Komodo dragons are a thing of nightmares.
But they're big and they live on an island. So it's the opposite of island dwarfism with some animals,
Yeah.
which is very weird.
And Samoans live on an island. They get big as fuck.
Big as fuck.
They get big as fuck.
Well, I bet that they like you had to be hardy to survive. You know, like back then, like probably the only really strong people survived.
On Samoa?
Look at the Vikings, right? Look at the people that live in Iceland now. Those
Yeah.
are all the descendants of the Vikings. It's not a fucking coincidence why the strongest men in the world, all those strongman competitions, Motherfuckers are all Vikings.
They're all Scandinavian, yeah.
They're all these giant people like the mountain, like
Yeah.
that dude.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
That is interesting.
What is that?
And then you have all the long-distance runners are always Ethiopian.
Yes.
Yeah, something about the environment, something about, the way they interact with the environment. We are animals, right? Like
100%. It just takes time for us to adapt.
Yeah.
But over many, many generations, we thoroughly adapt. That's where white people come from.
Yeah.
We're a big solar panel for vitamin D.
Yeah. It's all how much you interact with the sun and how
Yeah.
much sun there was. and-
Wasn't enough sun. People had to stay alive.
Dude, yeah.
So they had to adapt.
When you go to like North Europe, like the weather is like nuclear fallout. It's just a coating of clouds. You never see the sun.
It's terrible for you. It's very terrible for your attitude, too.
Well,
So
they kill themselves.
They're
a
all
lot.
dour.
Yeah, and
Like
they-
Seattle.
Yes, yeah, and then they I think have the highest suicide rate in
Yes.
northern Scandinavia. They just off themselves.
Yeah.
They need sun. They have sun lamps and shit
The suicide rate in California is pretty high, too, though.
Yeah?
Unfortunately. But there's different reasons why people do that.
because they ran out of lattes.
I think there has to be a balance. And I think you need a little shit weather to appreciate the nice weather.
Totally.
You do.
You do. You need a little yin to your yang.
Yeah, California's like a spoiled trust fund baby when it comes to weather.
Well, it's not-
never had to work.
Well, at least when it comes to L.A., it's not. People aren't supposed to be there. There's no natural resources there. That's desert. They got to ship in their fucking water.
Yeah.
They got to ship in their people. Like that was not supposed to be a place where people settled.
How come they haven't figured out that they just need to like full scale suck all the salt out of the ocean? You fucking dummies.
I don't know
It's,
why.
you should stop spending all this money on other shit. You've got a water problem.
Yeah.
You got all the water in the world right next door. Figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Why do you have all these wildfires? You should have giant fucking hoses that are connected to the ocean that spray water all over the plants and trees. Spray it everywhere.
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing? That's what you should. We could be living in a lush jungle.
Yeah.
It could be amazing here.
Yeah.
Or in California, at least.
I wonder why. They
They're
haven't
dumb.
figured it out. Yeah.
They're not as smart as us, Yannis Pappas.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out, bro.
We're right here figuring every single thing out.
figuring it all out.
We figured out about these hominids. We got it all figured out.
They've done a little bit of that desalination, but never like large scale where they could turn all the brown spots into green. But they should.
When they do that, probably then like all those places that are threatened by rising sea level will be able, like your real estate investment will be secure, like in Miami.
Suck that water out of there.
Suck that
Fuck
water.
that water.
Throw it. Take the water from Miami and throw it into L.A.
100 years from now, there'll be a Save the Ocean campaign because we'll have drained the ocean to make golf courses. We're watering golf courses all over the place, and there's no more water left in the ocean. There's like a small patch of water, and everyone's like, fuck you, we got lakes. We don't need your fucking stupid ocean.
Yeah.
They'll
Why
be like-
haven't they though? You're right, because they know how to build islands. I mean, you look at Dubai; they just built that fucking place.
They have desalination plants, but as far as I know, they never scaled it to the point where it could supply the water for an entire city. I would imagine that would be huge. It would probably have to be nuclear powered, but which sounds contradictory, but that would be the way to do it. You'd have a very clean source of energy, as long as it's they make sure all the fail safes are in place and it doesn't go down, and then you use that energy to process water and take out the salts, and now you have an infinite supply of water because you're connected to an infinite supply of water. It's right there. It's like you have one step missing.
Yeah.
Like if that was a lake, if that was the cleanest freshwater lake in the world, we'd have no water problems.
Right.
We just suck that water out of there and spray it all over the place. But because it's saltwater, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But they do have desalination, but it's a possible thing.
Yeah.
It can be done.
It's probably really hard, but you're making it sound really easy.
I know
You're
it's
like,
hard.
yo, just take the fucking water.
I know it's hard,
Yeah.
but I know it's also something that's not like brought up every day. Like when people running for governor, they never say, "Hey, we got all this water.
Right.
It's right there. Let's take the salt out of the water." Everybody
Right.
be like, "Yeah."
Right. Yeah.
Just build the biggest fucking Death Star desalination plant. Just this monolith. Just constantly employ the entire state.
You're creating jobs too,
Yeah,
man.
you're creating jobs.
Yeah.
Creating jobs, sucking all that salt out of the water, and then all of a sudden California's just lush green. It looks like Vietnam.
Yeah, there would be no more water laws, so you can fucking
Go crazy.
yeah.
Golf course is for everybody.
You can wash your face with water and shower longer from all the shame of whatever you did to get that roll.
You remember when people got shamed for the ice bucket challenge?
Yeah.
You're wasting water.
Yeah.
You're wasting water. What are you doing? I caught you wasting water.
I
Yeah.
remember Matt Damon decided he wasn't going to waste water, so he did it like in his toilet or something. He did the ice bucket challenge, and
He
it like
did?
all went into his toilet. Something similar to that.
Yeah.
Something-
He's better than everyone else. Then he hopped
He's
on
better than us.
He hopped on a private jet.
Did I make that
probably.
up? Did I make that up? I feel like he did that. I feel like he did something eco-intelligent.
Actually, nope. Hold on. It's like he got the water from the toilet.
There you go.
Oh, he's such a conservationist.
But wait a minute, that's still wasting water.
Yeah,
someone
still
needs to talk
wasting
to him.
water,
That's Did he throw it back in the toilet? He should stand in the toilet. He should have like gone into the fetal position in the toilet and then the challenge.
Oh God.
He's getting the water from the toilet,
What
so
a-
that makes it okay. That's
Good.
still water out of the pipe, Matt Damon. That's ridiculous. That's still water out of the pipe. Someone tell him where the water comes from.
Yeah. He's like, make sure you film the part where I'm taking it out of the
Yeah.
toilet so people know that I care about
That's a
this.
fetish.
Yeah.
That's a fetish. He just peed on himself. He just had a lot of water, so it was clear pee.
No, I honestly thought the water problem was because
Comments were turned off on that
I
video.
wonder why. I wonder why. Maybe some intelligent people could have pointed something out.
Yeah.
That's the same water from the same pipes, Matt Damon.
yeah, I don't think you're helping.
Just because you put it in the toilet first doesn't make you.
No.
You're still throwing water at yourself. It's ridiculous.
That's what you call a strong virtue signal right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's for a challenge. Nobody gets mad at you for wasting water for a cold plunge.
Right.
Because now you're doing it for your health.
Right. Or if you leave the shower running while you're taking a shit, people probably do that in LA too. And they shower extra long, like I said, because just they got to wash off the shame.
Shame.
Things they got to do in LA. You got to shower, you got to curl up in the corner and just let the water hit you. Say, God, what I had to do.
Speaking of shame, this now I'm just getting. This is you and I are the perfect people to talk about this crypto
Because
collapse.
we're scientists.
Because
Oh, okay.
we have
Economists. Yeah.
Yes. We have strong opinions and no information, which is a great combination when you're dealing with the fact that people have lost billions and billions of dollars. But so Jamie's been filling me in on this over the weekend.
And he also is an economist.
I am not the I'm not
Jamie
a source.
is our go-to expert
I'll
on this,
just find interesting links and say, hey, check this out.
which is fine.
Yeah.
That's journalism.
Yeah.
And as a journalist, what's your conclusion? It seems like, well, here's the thing. If you're running any kind of currency operation and you're involved in a polyamorous relationship with 7 other people, I got to think you're wacky.
Not 9.
9 other people?
10.
10 other people.
10 total.
What do? They just were polyamorous, living in a house
They
together?
all live together in the same place in the Bahamas.
And they all just banged each other.
Hey.
So wait, set this up because you're kind of starting in the middle. What are we talking about here?
Fun. Talk about a lot of fun in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
With billions of dollars, other people's money.
Is-
Whoop, whoop.
Someone call that a tax haven.
Tax haven.
Yeah.
So this fella was running this exchange, and they also had tokens. Someone explained it. Someone did a really good job of explaining it. And we could play that video, but it might take too much time. It's like a 12-minute video. But he was explaining how these tokens are like they're essentially unregulated, but it's almost like you're owning stock, and or almost like owning coin. It's very confusing, but it's one of those classic examples of people try to cash in, and then the whole thing came down.
Yeah, the term Ponzi scheme has been thrown around
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Well, there's not just that. There seems to be money missing, like a lot of money missing, that got moved from one corporation to a sister corporation.
So this is FTX, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And apparently they reached out to Coinbase. I read that they reached out to Coinbase, and Coinbase is like, we can't help you. This looks bad. Like, what's going on over here? And then now it's sort of imminently collapsing, and tons of people have invested tons of money over there, and they don't know what the fuck is going on. And people are trying to pull their money out by buying NFTs for ridiculous amounts of money in the Bahamas, because apparently people in the Bahamas still have access to the thing, to the exchange. Is that the case?
Yep. Then they would imagine that they're reaching out to the person then buying this NFT that would have yesterday been worth $9 and now it's bought for like $10 million.
Right.
to then make like a currency exchange. Like you can keep 10% of that, but
So
you
they
gotta give it
they jack up the value of it.
Right. So they basically say, look, I'm going to buy your NFT for $10 million. I'm going to give you $1 million, and then you give me the 9 back. And so that's how they're exchanging money and trying to just draw it out of this account.
Right.
And who knows how that's going to work out.
Right.
Whether people are going to be like, fuck you, I got your money. You're like,
Right.
how's that work?
Right.
But all of it is run by this guy who they were in the middle of profiling him. Who sent me this?
I did. Michael Lewis is the guy's name. He's the writer of like Moneyball and The Big Short, many books.
And so he was in the middle of profiling this guy when everything collapsed, which is wild.
Right.
Wild.
That is very wild.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds that that happens at the exact same time? Because this guy was this wonder kid who had developed this thing, was worth $15 billion. And was like wearing pajamas and shit, like one of those like eccentric cats.
Didn't all of crypto kind of take a big, massive hit, though?
I think all
Recently?
of crypto
Yeah.
did take a big, massive hit, but I think this is a lot crazier than that.
Right.
This isn't just that, like, crypto took a hit, everybody's business is fucked. This is like shenanigans. Like some
Something's-
high-level, like, serious shenanigans. The most generous billionaire. Yeah.
That's part of this. So there's like, yeah, this has been unfolding like in real time on Twitter, which has been an interesting place to be for the last few weeks. But this guy apparently during this used a PR, I don't know if this would be a scheme, but a YouTuber was paid to make this piece about him and the way he gives away money, which adds to.
Well, he wanted
adds
people
to
to
it.
know.
Well,
He wanted
Mr.
people to know he's a good guy.
Correct.
He reached out to Elon apparently while Elon was buying Twitter and offered to chip in $3 billion. And he said, Elon said that set his bullshit meter off because like Elon's a serious dude. And you say he's like, this guy's 3 million liquid or a billion rather, 3 billion liquid. Like, does he have that money?
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Right.
Say like we're gonna buy Twitter for 44. I'm in for 3.
Right.
3 billion?
Right.
That's a crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
And so Elon said that set his bullshit meter off.
Right. Because, like, where
Yeah,
did he
like-
get the $3 billion? Yeah.
You can't just say that to that guy.
Right.
He's like, oh, cool. And he's not going to just say, oh, cool. He's going to know basically what you can and can't. He's the richest guy in the world. He
Right.
understands money.
Right. And he knows who really has that money and who may be
Yeah.
laundering.
Well, who might be just kind of a crazy person who, you know, is probably can't believe he's in where he's at.
When you find stories about him from before, he was like the world's youngest billionaire. Happened super fast.
World richest person under 30, committed billions, the vast majority of his fortune, to tackling the most pressing problems facing the future of humanity.
Where did
well,
he
that's nice.
get his money, though? Like,
Click
what
on
is-
that. What are those most pressing problems? Click on that link. What is that link up there?
This is it's on Reddit. I'll have to hold on.
Oh, it's on Reddit?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, I understand where Elon made his money. It's a
I think, like all things, he's probably not all bad. It just didn't work out the way he thought it was going to, and it was for so long. And he probably thought he could get away with doing what he was doing, and he probably also thought he was doing good. So if he really is like super charitable, he probably also thought that he was way smarter than he was, right? Because he's under 30. And he's a billionaire already. He probably thinks he's the fucking shit. Could you imagine if you were worth $15 billion and you were 28? You would think you're the shit. You
Yeah.
would think you could do whatever. And also, you're banging 9 people in a house together.
Yeah, I'd be
Like,
doing bad stuff. That's too much money for a 20-something-year-old
You're not
kid
playing
to have.
by any rules,
Yeah.
anybody's rules. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give my money away to everybody. And
Yeah.
I'm also going to move $10 billion over here.
Right.
I'm going to push it to this sister company. I want to keep that rolling and this going. We got the coins, and then we got the tokens, and we got this and that, and like.
Yeah.
I don't understand that whole world of crypto because there's so many of them now. Bitcoin, at least to me, was sort of semi-tangible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's this thing. There's a limited amount of them. This guy who made it is like this mysterious fellow, you know, Satoshi Nakamura, right? That's his name. Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who he is.
Right.
It's wild. It's all the speculation. But he developed this currency, this cryptocurrency, and it's basically that's the king of cryptos. Wouldn't you say Bitcoin is the king?
Oh, I mean that. Yeah, sure.
The most popular.
Right. And the original big one, right? Like, yeah.
Made sense. It was like sort of curing a lot of the problems we have with centralized currency and the federal government controlling everything and fucking inflation and all this shit. There's only a certain amount of those. Ever. Forever. And ever and ever and ever. But then a bunch of them pop up. Right? Now you got How many cryptos do they have?
At one point, some of them were being named after animals. Dog
Yeah.
coin,
Yeah.
Doge coin,
Yeah.
dolphin coin.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. Yeah.
Yeah, joke coins.
Yeah.
Joke. Like, wasn't the doggy coin, the Doge coin,
Started as a joke. Yeah.
a joke? And now
Yeah.
it's worth fucking trillions of dollars or something.
Well, not anymore. Yeah.
oh, not anymore.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of tanked.
Did that one go down too?
No.
It was all based on how much
It hasn't
value.
gone down.
No, Dogecoin's still up there?
Sure.
What's it worth now?
Depending on when it's, compared to $1,
Let's Google it right now. How much
Eight.
is each Dogecoin worth?
8.5 cents.
8.5 cents. And what's a Bitcoin worth?
Like 17,000, probably 16.5, I think right now.
$16,500.
16.2.
Wow. See, that's the one that people count on the most as being like semi-stable. But even that one goes way up and way down.
But what are they counting on exactly? What are they going to do with their Bitcoin?
Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
You're gonna buy something before someone figures out it's not worth anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
it's a game you're playing.
I
Musical
understand.
chairs.
I understand the stock market because you're investing in something that's a thing that's doing something. It's a company,
business, right.
Yeah, that's doing something that you can understand. But
Right.
this just sounds like you're using your real money in that it's the money that you can use to buy things now, to buy imaginary money that is supposed to be worth something down the line that's not yet. That everyone's trying to get in on because of that belief.
Yeah.
And then it can go up or down and.
But it does go up or down.
It does go
So
up and-
people do make money. There are absolutely crypto billionaires out there.
But that's because it's being sold as something that you need to have for the future.
Sort of. I think you can have it right now, though.
No,
Like
but I mean, the whole-
Andreas Antonopoulos, the guy who's been on my podcast, talk about Bitcoin in the past. He doesn't. Everything he does, he pays for in Bitcoin. His whole life, his salary, when he buys things, he does everything in Bitcoin.
Where does he?
Here's the for
Does he go to a
instance-
coffee shop and he just
Bitcoin.
he goes to a strip club and he
Bitcoin.
makes it rain invisible bitcoins? on
Bitcoins.
Tom bought Bert that fun gift for his birthday, but he had to pay it all in cash because you
Right.
can't do that transaction
Yeah.
through credit cards or however the normal way would have been. He could have probably paid that guy in Bitcoin if that guy accepted Bitcoin, and it would have been done in seconds instead of weeks.
There you go.
But how much? So that whole issue with the amount of energy it takes to store them on the blockchain or whatever, is that something that is an impediment to the future of Bitcoin because they say it takes so much space and power?
Well, that's possible, but wouldn't that make sense that as technology improves, it'd be easier to do that?
Yeah.
That seems like an easier problem to surmount than the problems we have with centralized digital centralized digital currency scares the shit out of me. If they had a digital currency that the government controlled, we'd be fucked. Because then they would institute some sort of a social credit score system, just like China has. And when you want to buy something, depending on your tweet history or what you've said or what you've done, they could come down on you.
Yeah. I don't know. I just got skeptical when I saw commercials for it. I'm like, this is a commercial for money? Like with Larry David in it? Like, I never saw a commercial for like, hey, buy $100 bill. It's
Well,
like,
didn't Matt Damon have a bunch? Where
He had a bunch, too.
They were
Tom Brady,
They were
everybody
making
did.
it like you're going to space.
yeah, a bunch of them.
Yeah, I also,
Yeah.
for clarity though, I believe this is I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge, but I think they were advertising more of a place to exchange as opposed to just the actual, like Bitcoin, you know.
Right.
Well, I think they were also
Like their
advertising
businesses.
the idea of embracing this new digital currency.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Like, people got mad at them when it crashed
Kim Kardashian actually got into trouble. She got into
because she was
actual-
telling people to buy crypto. And
yeah,
it crashed.
something. She actually got into legal trouble because of it. Yeah, because basically they were selling something that now has made a lot of people go broke.
They're selling what the Diaz brothers like to call wolf tickets.
Yeah, wolf tickets, dog. That's what they were selling.
Selling wolf
They were
tickets.
selling a bunch of bullshit.
SEC charges Kim Kardashian for unlawfully touting crypto security. Whoa. The Securities and Exchange Commission today announced charges against Kim Kardashian. You do not want that statement to ever be read.
No.
The Securities and Exchange Commission today announced charges against Kim Kardashian for touting on social media a crypto asset security offered and sold by Ethereum Max without disclosing the payment she received for the promotion. Kardashian agreed to settle the charges, pay $1.26 million in penalties, disgorgement, and interest, and cooperate with the commission's ongoing investigation. Yo.
She's got problems with the man.
So the man says the SEC order finds that Kardashian failed to disclose that she was paid $250,000 to publish a post on her Instagram account about EMAX tokens, the crypto asset security being offered by Ethereum Max. Kardashian's post contained a link to the Ethereum Max website, which provided instructions for potential investors to purchase EMAX tokens.
The only way that those tokens have value is if they're promoted by influencers and celebrities for you to get like, oh, they're just by them endorsing them. You're going like, that's the only way they can have value. Otherwise, they don't represent anything that's being done. So
But a token freaks me out. Like, what is that's a new thing I don't understand. What is the difference between a token, which is one of the points of contention about this FTX thing, and a coin? They're different things?
Can be.
Yeah, well, this guy was explaining it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And this guy was an expert in finance, and he contacted them, and he gave them a series of proposals in order. I think they wanted to invest in something, and they literally said back to him, "Go fuck yourself."
this is why I was always skeptical of it. Because, like, look, I'm not a smart dude, right? But, you know, astrophysics should be hard to understand, but like money should be a simple explanation. And anytime I would ask questions about Bitcoin, I just couldn't understand it. It was like when someone tried to explain the sport curling to me. I'm like, I still don't fucking get what's going on.
Yeah,
and it's
you're
like,
never gonna get it.
If it's too hard to understand, then I get like, oh, something's fishy.
It's very cultural though. The curling thing is like baseball.
What are they doing though? Are they cleaning the ice?
No, they're pushing a fucking hockey puck and trying to make it knock into the other one or get into the perfect circle. It's
See, you
shit
don't even
you do
know.
when you're frozen in for 8 months at a time and you're in the middle of the north of Canada.
Yeah.
Play that link. This guy kind of explains what happened. We'll get to the first couple of minutes of it.
That was still a vague explanation.
Yeah, it's fucking. They get real touchy about it up there. I was knocking it one time. I was up there doing a show, and I was like, like the people that were in the audience, the place where you walk through and you get seated was all filled with pictures of curling events. So they had a bunch of curling events there while they were doing comedy shows. And we were just shitting all over curling, and they were like, just like, You can tell they're actually
that part
bummed
I
out.
think is in this video. I was about to pull up too.
Well, just play the other one because the other one he gets into it right away, and he explains the video that I just sent you, the YouTube
I saw
video.
that same thing on this. Just saying.
In that $17 billion round, and I did a Zoom with him. And after the Zoom, I'm like, this doesn't make much sense, but I'll have my team do some work. We did some work, and we sent him a 2-page deck. And we said, here are our recommendations for taking the next step. One was the formation of a board. The second was the creation of dual class stock. The third was some reps and warranties around affiliated transactions and related party transactions. And the person that worked there called us back and literally, I'm not kidding you, said, go fuck yourself. He pitched us.
Yeah. So that was part of it. The reason why I wanted you to play the video, the YouTube video has more of it. And the YouTube video also, I wanted to credit whoever put it up there so they could get people to see it. So what was the YouTube video title? It says, this collapse is way bigger than SBF. How do you say his name? Chamath. How do you say the last name, though?
No idea.
Yeah. Palihap Itia reacts to FTX. Sorry if I fucked up your name, sir. But it's only the Savvy, SAVVY YouTube page. And so this is longer, and it explains like what these people were doing and the token part. So if you give it
developing
volume here.
story of FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried is playing
Look at
out
that
like
fella.
a Netflix documentary.
Imagine that
each
fella
day
taking
being
care of
a
your
new
money.
episode in real time.
Fuck out
Crypto
of here.
Twitter has alleged that Sam Bankman-Fried was on the run and tried to flee to South America. Others believed he tried to flee to Dubai. Cointelegraph reported that Bahamian authorities have Bankman-Fried and 2 other executives under supervision. Reuters reported that they reached out to SBF to ask him via text if he left the Bahamas, and he said, nope. After lying to his followers continually on Twitter about anything pertinent to FTX, it would be very hard to imagine him answering, yes, I'm on the run.
Bye-bye, Tata, goodbye.
But anyway, more and more high-level people are sharing their experiences with SBF and looking back for any red flags and what they might have missed. Elon Musk took to Twitter to confirm a story about SBF investing $3 billion into Twitter. Elon said that SBF set off his BS detector. As a guest on the All In podcast, Brian Armstrong also suggested that something was off when he compared Coinbase's revenues to that of FTX, but for whatever reason, SBF had substantially more cash for donations, corporate buyouts, etc., being heralded in the media as the white knight of crypto. In his All In podcast, Chamath Palihapitiya also shared his own experience with Bankman-Fried, but instead of focusing on SBF, Chamath went deeper into the subject and believes there is a systemic issue at hand that needs to be dealt with immediately. But before we listen to Chamath, if you're new to the channel or not subscribed, make sure you subscribe as we put out daily content to keep you updated on the current market and news.
There was an article that appeared that said that the head of compliance at FTX was also the head of compliance at a poker site called Ultimate Bet, which in the 2010s did this exact thing, apparently. Some version of this where they went in and they looked at hole cards of poker players, and then a few employees inside the business would basically play against these folks, knowing what the hole cards were, ran this cheat, stole millions of dollars. Somehow that person found a way to be head of compliance at FTX.
Yeah.
10 years later. This happens in the public markets a lot as well. So like when you see heavily shorted names, or when you know that certain hedge funds are on the brink, other hedge funds will go in and essentially force a margin call and a stop out, because then it's what causes all of these runs. And if you look actually inside of GameStop, the reason why you got all this gamification in the GameStop equity and a bunch of these other names was in part because of this dynamic. Folks that are highly levered, folks that don't have the right matching of risk. And what happens is they're solvent but illiquid. And then if you run the instrument into the ground, they both become insolvent and illiquid all at the same time. To me, it seems the whole issue, if you come back, like what is the first string that you pulled that unraveled the sweater, was the fact that these tokens were created out of thin air.
Yeah.
They had no meaningful value. Somebody prescribed a value, and all of a sudden, everybody else in the economy all of a sudden said, yeah, I'll take that as collateral.
Yeah.
Look, you
That's what I'm
cannot
saying.
do that in the regular world. I can't call JP Morgan and say, I've invented this thing. It's called a share in XYZ. And I'd like you to margin loan, give me a loan against it. I think the problem is bigger than FTX. And I'll say the uncomfortable part out loud, and nobody needs to necessarily comment if you don't want to. But there were an enormous number of venture firms that talked their way into just completely doing zero work here. I mean, and the tip of the spear is this thing. Who's the guy that works at Founders Fund? Bulgar? Zebulgar? Delian, thank you. Yeah. That tweet that he had where he basically took the snapshot of the Sequoia transcript was one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. I mean, this was a $215 million decision, and Sequoia documented it and put it on their own website. And I think that's an example of something that was happening, which is people just looked the other way and didn't even want to do the layer of work. I just want to say the second uncomfortable thing out loud, which is there was a lot of venture firms in Silicon Valley in this period of both not doing any work or diligence who also took the extra step and actually created classes and would teach teams how to create these tokens. Okay, and those artifacts, those video links and artifacts are sometimes on their website. They're still on YouTube. They're inside of Twitter. And what these folks would do, and we talked about this, the game that they played was they would get a team, they would create a token, they would also buy equity at some crazy valuation. The equity was locked up, but the tokens were not. And then they would put them on an exchange and sell them to unsuspecting people, and they would be able to dump these tokens.
Yeah.
And if
I
you
get it.
look inside of that trend, what you're going to see, and Brian just mentioned this, those were the sale of securities, except it was done in a completely unregulated way.
That's it.
So
That's it. So that was
Fucking
what I
criminal.
wanted to
It's
play.
criminals.
So that explains it in a way that neither you nor I could ever repeat. I'm not sure how he said it, but I think he's an expert.
It's a Ponzi scheme. It's all bullshit. They were stealing people's money. They jacked up the value of it. They used these celebrities to endorse it, which gave it value, and the cult of personality. We all followed along, and a lot of sheep bought a lot of money and bought this bullshit explanation. You were intimidated into not being able to critique it. It was basically the trans women are women of money. They go, Bitcoin is money. And you're going, explain that to me. And they go, stop asking for an explanation. Respect Bitcoin's preferences. It wants to be money. So address it as money. And they just yelled at you if you were like, hey, what? I don't understand it.
Well, also, money was being exchanged, and money was it's exchanging hands. So they knew they could get some of that money. So, of course, they're going to have classes and teach people how to make those tokens, as long as it's legal. That's what they do. They would actually be doing a disservice to their customers if they didn't do that. Like they make money. That's what they do. You can make money this way. It's real money. You just got to move it around.
It's real money. It's real money, and what you're buying is not real.
It ain't real.
It ain't real.
There's nothing there,
The money's
bro.
real.
It's crazy. I mean,
but they sold everyone on the idea that the tokens will be worth more than the real thing.
when you want someone handling your money, you want some dude who gets up at 5:30 in the morning, reads the Wall Street Journal, and then fucking gets on a treadmill.
Yeah, and I
you
don't
want a
care
guy-
what his religion is. I'll just
I
say
don't give
that.
a fuck what his religion is. I
Not-
want that dude drinking carrot juice.
Yeah.
I want him taking vitamins. I want him fucking doing push-ups and sit-ups and being disciplined. And that fucking guy gets his tie on right, and he makes his cuffs perfect. And that guy goes to work.
Yeah.
And he does it by the fucking book, and he makes a shitload of money. He's got a Patek Philippe watch on. And he's got a private jet. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He's been doing it the right way for years.
Yeah.
Those are the guys.
I just
Not
won't.
these. You can't dress like that. You can't have those man tits
No.
hanging out and I give you $1 billion of Bitcoin.
Some 26-year-old kid lives in the Bahamas, is
900 people he's banging.
living in a sex cult.
I mean, what is that? I mean, it sounds like fun.
I think it's these kids that just kind of are so tech savvy, and they got everyone to believe this thing, especially during the pandemic where it really picked up.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, where people were just like sitting around and living in the computer and kind of started to believe everything in the computer was real.
Now, what is this shit about them sending money to Ukraine and the money from Ukraine being invested into FTX? Is that true?
So this has I think you have to separate this from Bitcoin in some way, because it's not. This wasn't done because of Bitcoin, like the money in this.
Right, but it's
FTX
FTX.
stuff. It was an exchange and a currency, and this was all done behind the scenes, not like on the blockchain, which is what Bitcoin is.
And what was it exactly that happened?
That's what I'm trying to. That's what he was sort of explaining.
Right, but the other stuff is the different stuff.
Well, that's how
that's this. But what
The
I'm
way-
talking about is
right, this is how it gets into this. So
Right.
this company FTX was backed by something separate, which I think Chamath explains in another video and says like why these aren't supposed to happen. But he was like, well, I guess this is what you guys are doing.
I think that company FTX was the second biggest donor to the Democrat Party.
Alameda
The
Research.
first biggest company was is Alameda Research, the sister company that they funneled the $10 billion to.
That's what. Yeah.
So that's the company they funneled the
think.
$10 billion to. They were the second biggest, next to George Soros, who's number one. They're the second biggest donor to the Democrat Party.
That's dirty ball.
That's
dirty ball.
something. I mean, maybe you're like a hardcore lefty and you really want the Democrats to win, and this is your way of going about it.
Well, if this is true, then it warrants a critique at the very
perhaps.
least.
This is going around. I would just say that I don't know the truth of all of this, but this has been like people are using this as information that is fact online.
So what is this saying here?
Sam, who's the guy that was running this FTX
His mom,
platform,
right?
his mother is a huge Democratic fundraiser. She runs something called, or a co-founder of Mind the Gap and the Get Out the Vote organization.
Including the Center for Voter Information, launches the FTX crypto exchange.
This is the timeline here. April 5th. This says Joe Biden announces his presidential campaign, and 13 days later he starts FTX, and then gets a bunch of money that no one really can explain.
Whoa.
And then starts giving it to they start spending it on campaigns and backing people and doing all sorts of things.
So through FTX, somehow or another, the allegation is that it's funding the Democratic Party.
Right, and then that's why I haven't read through that whole article of like they said that this money then went to Ukraine in some way and then has now through some backdoor channels been put back into some people's hands, and that's where it's getting lost in an exchange. And
Oh, Jesus. Well, this is what we were talking about on the phone over here, Mr. Pappas. It's like this is what people always do when they can. When people can, especially something like crypto and tokens, you're in the fog already. You're in the fog of chaos. This new fake thing. You got
That
something
link
else?
I sent you it's been taken down. So
Oh my good. Well, it's Michael Savage.
Right.
Must be real. That guy's not crazy. He's that crazy AM radio guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Isn't he? Why did I think that he passed away? Did he pass away?
no, it doesn't seem that way.
I conflated him with some other
He's 80.
80. Maybe that's why. But there's another one of them hardcore guys. I know Rush Limbaugh died, but someone else died too, like that. But that guy, he's a hardcore.
Imus
Right.
died too.
Yeah, Imus died a while ago, didn't he?
Yeah. So who else? I don't know.
I wish I met Imus. Never met him.
Yeah.
He's an odd duck. Because he's kind of like, back in his day, the early days, he was like another sort of kind of Stern-like character. You know, he was like this outrageous Stern-like character. And then Howard Stern just did it way better.
Yeah.
And did his own version of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I think they were kind of simultaneously existing as like pioneers. You know, like I don't think Imus gets the kind of credit because Stern was so good.
Yeah.
Like Stern was the best. That show was the best. That show was groundbreaking.
New York Post was reporting this stuff too.
Okay, cryptocurrency billionaire broke the bank for Dems. Okay, so this might be real. So amid the jubilation and gloating by Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, and pals over Democrats' better than expected showing in the midterms comes a disturbing story that may explain something about how they won such a curious election. Biden's second biggest donor, cryptocurrency billionaire Wunderkind or Kind?
Wonderkind.
Wunderkind. Sam Bankman-Fried. Is it Fried or
Fried.
Fried?
Yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried, a.k.a. SBF. I like that. Saw his business file for bankruptcy days after the election, but not before pumping $40 million into the Democratic Party to spend on get out the vote and other shadowy ballot harvesting mechanics for the midterms. The shambolic, that's a new word.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Don't know.
What does that mean? Let's find out what that means. I need to know.
Shambolic.
I'm confused. Shaman-like? What do you think it means?
Shambolic.
Maybe shaman-like.
Chaotic, disorganized, or
Chaotic,
mismanaged?
disorganized, mismanaged. Oh, I would say, yeah, definitely. Shambolic, that's a new word.
Yeah.
30-year-old whiz kid, once said to have been worth $16 billion, had spent $10 million in helping get Biden elected in 2020. SBF's mother, Stanford law professor Barbara Fried, also the co-founder of left-wing political action committee Mind the Gap, which has raised a reported $140 million to help Democrats win elections through the same get-out-the-vote grift. A more unlikely billionaire you could not find, and of course his money was built on thin air. A math genius with poor social skills, SBF reportedly lived in a polycule, a polyamorous relationship with multiple people in a luxury penthouse with about 10 co-workers in the tax haven of the Bahamas, where his collapsed crypto exchange FTX was headquartered. Wow.
This is bad.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that a person like that got to where he was. I mean, Reuters is reporting that between 1 billion and 2 billion of customer funds have vanished from FTX conveniently after the Democrats
Yeah.
safely spent his money.
At the very least,
This is the New York Post.
yeah. At the very least, it's the same negligence and lack of due diligence that the celebrities that endorsed companies like this didn't do. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, how could they know, right? If you're a celebrity, just like play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
If you're Matt Damon or whoever, Kim Kardashian, I mean, people are making money with Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin billionaires. There's Coinbase, which is apparently doing very well. There's Bitcoins that are sponsoring sports. They sponsor arenas, right? They name arenas after them. Actually, I think they have to change one of the arenas.
This was one of them. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it did? Which one? Was it Miami?
Miami, yeah.
Of course it's Miami. It's where all the coke is.
Yeah.
Party.
That's the
So,
main economy of that town.
So how would they know?
Well, I knew. I mean, I don't mean to say that, but it's like I always questioned it and I knew, so how come they didn't know? Maybe if they turned off their greedy fucking hat for 1 second and asked some fucking questions about what's actually going on, they would have known. Been like, what actually is this? But they didn't. They said, oh, he's offering me $30 million so I can endorse them. That'll make people believe in it more and they'll invest in it. And then we'll take that money and all your money that you're hoping is going to turn into more money when this thing blows up, we'll take that and fund the fucking Democratic, we'll fund the political party.
Yeah, it's slippery. It is definitely slippery. There's something weird.
That's what happened.
There's something very weird about it.
It's the same thing. Like, what's the cult again? I keep forgetting. Albany.
Nexium.
What he did with the Seagram's daughters, they funneled all the money into his little cult. And with that money, he was able to get the Dalai Lama and a couple other people that gave it legitimacy. And then other people going like, it must be legitimate if this person's in it. And they started giving him all the money. And all he was doing was branding women and fucking them.
What did they think he was doing, though?
They thought he was doing the self-help thing and empowering women and teaching them how to be more rigorous and
I'm
teach.
very ignorant to this cult.
Oh, it's incredible.
When I found out it was involving Hollywood people, I was like, yeah.
But yeah,
I just gave up on
the actress from Smallville. There was a few other people, but it was all over the world. It wasn't just L.A. and it was based in Albany. First of all, that's how you know people are stupid. Because if you're buying into a cult that's in Albany, you're stupid. And then they went to Albany to attend his little weekend retreat.
It's a bad place to live.
It's Albany. It's a shithole. You're like,
people from Albany are mad at you right now. Do you understand that?
Well, they know I'm right, though. It's a dump.
It's the fucking capital of the state of New York, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know why. It's a shithole. It's a fucking dump. But they did the same exact thing that these crypto people did, specifically this kid Freed.
It's definitely not the Bahamas.
It's not the Bahamas, no.
Right. Like, he got it right.
Yeah.
The kid got it right. He got the billions. Like, Bahamas.
Yeah, he just
Let's
went to the
live like
Bahamas. Yeah.
That is a pretty wild thing to do, though. To be living in a house, banging all these people you're working with, raking in billions, funneling some of it to the Democratic Party, doing all this philanthropy work, probably thinking you're a fucking gem of a person.
Yeah.
Until it all comes crashing down. But if it didn't come crashing down, that's like the Bernie Madoff thing. If it wasn't for the 2008 crash, would Bernie Madoff have been able to keep that hustle going?
Oh, he was so good at it.
He was so good at it.
Oh, he was so good. He used to show up at his clients' sons' baseball games and answer their phone calls. And
of course he did.
He really was a good con artist.
Of course he did.
He showed great attention to them, so they didn't look at the stealing hand. I mean, but the Democratic Party should have done a little due diligence, been like, what is this? They didn't ask questions either. They just took the money.
They took the money. Why? It's not their fault. What the fuck are they supposed to do? If this lady set it up with her son and he's fucking funneling that money, yeehaw, let's go. You don't have to go and do an audit on their business and make sure it's running right. Give me that money.
But
I don't care where you got it from. I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
When people come to see your show, how much of it is cocaine money? How many people are coming to see Yannis Pappas that are secretly coke dealers?
I would say probably 0%. Well, I don't
More
know.
than one?
Maybe one, yeah.
Come on. All the shows
In Miami,
you've ever done?
100% in Miami, yeah.
Out of all the shows you've ever done,
Yeah.
how many people paid for your ticket and they were involved in illegal activities?
That's different, though. I'm not the government. I'm
The
not
government is
claiming
just
to be good.
We're just accepting a little money. We don't have time. We're running a campaign. We're trying to
Yeah.
overturn this Roe v. Wade bullshit.
Yeah.
Come on, man. We're trying to codify Roe v. Wade. We need money. That's what I love when they turned over Roe v. Wade. The first thing they did is give us money.
Yeah.
Give us more money. We need donations. It's the only way we're going to fix this.
Yeah. And then,
This article says that they used him, like Greta Thunberg.
Oh, like Greta Thunberg, the teenage eco-evangelist SBF, was manipulated into serving a useful purpose. Isn't that kind of editorializing, though?
It could be, yeah.
You don't exactly know what was going on there. In other words, FBF's analytical IQ and social ineptitude made him a prime recruit for the cause of hijacking capitalism to divert money to left-wing causes. Whoa.
Nerd sniped.
So the article describes Bankman-Fried's recruitment into the EA cult when he was a young man at MIT as being nerd sniped, which is the practice of attracting brain power by presenting problems as puzzles. Whoa.
EA is effective altruism for those.
Whoa. Interesting. Wait, hold on. Go back to that. It says he's never read a book, as information should be in 6-paragraph blog post. What? It says the author concludes the FTF founder is neurodiverse, but not spectrum-y or Asperger-y. SBF says he has some ADD and has never read a book, as information should be in a 6-paragraph blog post. Huh. Should probably read books.
Sounds like that's just like a typical Gen Z.
You should read books on what happens when you start a sex cult.
Yeah.
It always ends up with dead people. Why does sex cult, unless the government comes in like with the Nixium, how do you say it?
Nixium, right? Yeah.
Unless they come in and fucking arrest everybody,
Yeah.
it winds up in death.
Yeah, it does. It
Always.
does.
Look
Or
at Waco.
branding, yeah. He
Well,
branded
well,
him.
he was,
Jesus.
what's next?
Yeah.
You got to give me your pinky?
Yeah, no, you're gonna kill
People
him.
die of
yeah.
infections?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so he cleaned his dirty money by donating it to the Democratic Party.
Or they tricked him into doing that. They tricked him into funneling money over there. I mean,
Yeah.
he's this is a fascinating unfolding thing, right? Because they're monitoring him in the Bahamas. How long before they arrest him?
Right.
I mean, and if they said his plane went to Argentina, but he said no, he didn't go to Argentina, but his private jet went to Argentina. So what's on the jet, man?
Right.
What's on the jet, man?
I tell you what, it's not. It's not invisible tokens.
Maybe they put the jet over there so that he could, like, they wouldn't take his jet. Maybe they won't take it in Argentina.
Maybe.
Supposedly they were trying to get to Dubai,
Yeah.
which Dubai's like, come on,
Yeah.
give me some of that. Give me
I
some
bet-
money, I'll keep you safe.
Yeah, money. It's not. He's not going to be hoarding invisible tokens. I know that because they are valueless.
It seems like now it's gotten so big, though, he probably can't hide anywhere. It seems like they're going to get him.
Are they though, or are they his friend because he helped them win?
He knows too much. He knows too much.
Yeah, you got to go down.
you
Yeah,
gotta go
it's got to
down.
fall off a boat.
He's got it. Something's got to go wrong. Yeah, you can't just get away with that.
No.
They're not going to let you go to Dubai.
No,
Not now.
he's going to mysteriously fall off a boat.
Well, how many people are involved that lost millions? Like, how many people?
A lot of ordinary people lost a lot of money. Yeah.
His
And what
Twitter
is-
account the last day has just been tweeting out random things like
What?
and then
And
there
then,
was I think
number
they got deleted. It's not showing it when I
So
do
is he
this.
saying a sentence with all those
There they
H-A-P-P-E?
PP
What happened?
doesn't no one knows.
Oh, did he get to the last
Stopped. No, it
letter?
stopped 2 hours ago.
So it's probably like what happened. That's what I'm guessing.
Over time though, but I don't know if he has it because he could have his phone while he's being held. Right.
Who knows, man? Who knows what's going on?
Yeah. It could be that.
That's just like
Could be
wild
that
shit there,
the
too.
party in power knew what he was doing, took the money, and then waited till after the elections to let the story drop. That would be convenient too. Be like, all right, let's just take the money because we know it's going to help, and then if we pull off what we're trying to pull off, which is less damage in the midterms, then we'll take them down and pretend like we didn't know anything about it.
Jesus.
Because
Do you
there's no
think-
way they didn't know
Wouldn't it be
anything
better
about
if they didn't take him down and he kept doing this forever? And then they keep getting money funneled to him? Yeah, I think.
But now everybody knows. So.
Yeah, now, but I don't think they sold him down the river. I think it probably just fell apart. I'm just guessing. What is the reason why it fell apart?
Yeah, that's why.
Well, there we
Something
go.
happened. Yeah,
We're too dumb for
Well, I
this.
was trying to track it
We're
back.
too dumb for
I was
this.
trying to track it back too. So there's I think like she's the CFO. She's in the polycule, if you will. Someone tweeted out something about like purchasing them or something, and it was like almost in a shit talking response. She's like, "Oh yeah, well we'll just buy you. We'll buy all your shares or something like that for $22. Like we have money." I think someone was calling them out for not having money or something like that, and she called back like, "No, we do. We'll do it." And there's speculation that that guy knew all of this information or a good portion of it and was sort of baiting them out in public. And now that it's out there, they can't put the plug back in.
Yeah.
It's leaked. And now
Eventually, they all get caught. I
falling
mean,
apart.
if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, eventually it gets found
Yeah,
out.
but in that crypto world, it seems like it's much more ambiguous where everything is. You know, where's it go and what is it? It's tokens, it's coins, it's this, it's that. Like,
But once the value started dropping, there was like a big crash, right? I mean, it still has some value, but there was a big crash, right, Jamie? Like,
Is that what started it off? The big crash?
I think the big crash is what got everyone sort of focused on it and going like, wait a second, is this all bullshit?
Well, I was here.
I don't know that this has much to do with Bitcoin specifically, other than that this is a crypto exchange. I think that's the only relation to like the Bitcoin price.
Right.
Well, thank goodness for that gentleman whose video we played. What's his name? Chamath? Say his last name again?
I'm not,
Do it.
He was a bigwig at Facebook, right?
Say his name, bro.
Chamath. He's just known as Chamath.
Chamath.
online.
Well, Chamath broke it down for us in a way that, again, we'll never be able to
And he's
repeat.
legit. He used to be a top guy at Facebook, I think, if I'm right, right?
I think he's definitely on the board of quite a few major
Yeah.
companies. He's involved in some venture capital. So there's a leak about Alameda Research's money. This is sort of what I was getting at, I think. And this sort of spread into more issues. Like they were hacked on Saturday night. There was a tweet going out that told everyone to delete this off of your phone and devices.
Whoa.
I was like, oh, great. What does that mean? And that's where that $1 to $2 billion was getting stolen, apparently.
Oh my goodness.
And they're trying to track where that stuff was going.
So what does this have to do with Ukraine, though?
So they're using the money to
That's where I.
So
give money to Ukraine to
That's
buy
where I
weapons.
think some of this is getting caught up then in conspiracy stuff and like.
this conspiracy was that the government was giving money to Ukraine to aid in the war, and that they were taking some of that money and investing it back in FTX.
Oh. Well, that could be true or not, right? We don't know.
Let's see what we know.
Yes, I'm just googling.
Don't give up now.
We're almost there.
We've almost figured this mystery out.
Axios has there's 2 threads, untangling 2 threads about FTX and user funds. I don't know if this is going to be in here though.
Money is a wild thing, brother. It's a wild thing that motivates people.
The Ukraine doesn't pop up in that article.
Wild thing.
It is.
That dude, if he just played it right, he'd be rich as fuck. Banging 9 people in a house in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a for instance.
They never stopped, though,
he
right?
tweeted this on February 24th.
We just gave $25 to each Ukrainian on FTX. Do what you got to do.
It's like, what does that mean? Do they start an account for every person in Ukraine on their platform, and then how many of them actually access that? What does that mean?
The worst people always hide behind
Good deeds.
the greatest good. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely an inclination for things to be co-opted, things that are undeniably good things, co-opted by evil people with
Yeah.
their own selfish needs.
It's the best cover.
It's a great cover, sure. Especially if you're actually funneling money.
Yeah.
And deciding that, the only way to help is to do this, and we're going to donate that, it'll justify this, and even though it's kind of shady, we're going to get away with it because we've got the backing of these people. And
I don't know that this means there's proof, but this is
FBF laundering money through Ukraine, and this is on coinchapter.com. It says Ben Swan, the founder and CEO of blockchain-based news channel. Is that the same Ben Swan, the Pizzagate guy?
could be.
Hold on a second. Let me read that, and then we'll get to that. The founder and CEO of blockchain-based news channel Sovereign Media also assessed the circulating news. He pointed out that Berkman Fried had been outspoken supporter of Ukraine on top of his Democratic affiliation. Now, see if that's the guy. Tweeted Swan. Click on Tweeted Swan, where it says below that, where it says Tweeted Swan. See if that's the same guy. I think that's the same guy. Okay. Yeah. Founder of, what does it say? Sovereign Media, speaking truth to power, afflicting the comfortable and comforting the afflicted. I think that's the guy.
Hey, I'm a good guy.
He was either fired or something happened when he was pointing out all the weirdness involved in the whole Pizzagate thing when that lunatic went into that place and said, you're hiding kids, and fucking shot up the place. And he was trying to do his own research, but he was doing it on television about the story and pointing out the weirdness of the story. Do you remember that?
No, I don't know those details.
Very fucking...
I know the general
all of it.
What happened.
Sketch City.
Yeah.
All of it. You know, because it's like, Jesus Christ, are you saying that, you're just going to, maybe we should know more before you put this on TV?
Yeah.
Saying that there's like a cult of kid fuckers in a basement in a pizzeria.
Yeah.
You're firing up the troops.
Well, that's what happened. There is kid fucking going on, and then people get on the internet and they just start making connections that maybe aren't there.
I don't know if they're there or not there, but there's a lot of weirdness to the whole Podesta emails, and they were getting into all that.
Yeah. How it ends up in a pizza place?
Listen, once you find out that Fuck Island is real, Pedophile Island was real, you're like, what? That was real?
Yeah.
And then the list never got published? What?
Yeah.
And that Epstein killed himself, allegedly?
Yeah.
And the cameras didn't work?
Yeah.
What? And then Michael Baden, the autopsy doctor, does an examination of the corpse and says the neck is broken and which is consistent with being strangled to death, not with hanging.
Yeah.
Like the way it's broken. What? And then Ghislaine gets arrested and no fucking clients are named. No one. Just, you sold pussy. You're fucking going to jail forever. Now go to yoga.
Yeah.
She's in a place with yoga classes.
Yeah.
Like this minimum security place. And they just keep her alive somehow or another.
Yeah. Her dad fell off a boat.
Yeah, well, wasn't her dad like some sort of a Mossad officer or something like that?
Most probably, yeah. He probably said something to the wrong person. They were like, all right, it's time for you to fall off a boat.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So remember
Well, that's what I don't think that's common knowledge, but obviously that's the subtext.
I sent you this the other day.
PR, Puerto Rico? What is
there you
PR?
go. Sorry.
2 weeks ago, a big-name crypto developer who lived in PR was sounding the alarm on the CIA and the Mossad running a pedo elite cult in the Caribbean.
So here's the tweet he had, which
So he said the CIA, Mossad, and pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking, entrapment, blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and Caribbean islands. They're going to frame me with a laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend, who is a spy. They will torture me to death.
that was October 28th of this year, and then the next day.
Next day, Maker
Whoa.
DAO co-founder Nikolai Mushegian dies at 29 in Puerto Rico.
I think he drowned is what I was.
Mushegian was an important figure in the crypto community, contributing to multiple projects, including Maker DOA, BitShares, and Balancer. And how did he die?
I think, yeah, he says he drowned.
Ah, he fell into the water.
Left behind after drowning death.
Oh, wow. Wow.
What the fuck? Cryptocurrency developer Nikolai Mushegian had been splitting his time between Florida and Puerto Rico before his untimely and suspicious death on October 28th. In 2017, at age 24, he purchased a modern 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in the Fort Lauderdale area for $415,000 record show. Raised in Kansas by Russian immigrant parents. How do you say his name? Mushegian?
Mushegian.
Mushegian moved to Florida in 2017 to focus on the crypto scene. Mushegian was an early developer of Maker DOA, known as the largest decentralized finance DeFi protocol. He was also a key architect of the stablecoin system, currencies without government backing. According to the previous listing, the only home he ever owned spans more than 1,500 square feet and is situated on a quiet cul-de-sac. And so they're showing pictures of his house. Okay. And what happened to this fella?
He's no longer with us.
That is pretty wild that he posted that the CIA and the Mossad and pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking, entrapment, blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean islands, and then drowned. So sources told the Post Mushegian had left his home in the Lux Condado area for a walk a little after 9 a.m. A surfer off Ashford Beach, a spot considered so rife with riptides that local hotels warn against ocean swimming, discovered his body in the waves. He was wearing his clothes and had his wallet on him.
He was murdered.
Bro. His death has since fueled theories. Many believe his death was no accident, while those in the crypto called him brilliant but paranoid. Another person who knew Mushegian very well for years until they had a falling out 2 years ago said the developer was very, very smart, but also suffered from extreme bouts of paranoia. He had mental problems, the source said. He saw a psychiatrist at times. He smoked a lot of pot, a tremendous amount. Some of his paranoia was based on fact, the source said. The source added. He discovered things. He knew things. Nikolai got bored a lot with the mundane of life. He'd go after things, constantly putting himself in weird positions. If it wasn't for money, it wasn't for the money, rather. He was interested in why things were the way they were and the corruption behind it. Meanwhile, other sources, including his family, believe the drowning was neither accidental nor the result of foul play, hinting that it was self-inflicted. Mushegian had been in such a downward spiral in recent weeks that his father had come to stay with him at his Condado home, sources said. So they don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Huh.
his mother said that his death had nothing to do with conspiracy tweets.
Well, maybe she knows him better.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
It's a fucking crazy coincidence, though.
yeah, it is.
But it's also one of those things, like, if you were a troll and you knew you were going to kill yourself, what a great way to kill yourself.
Yeah, you get a lot of attention.
But
and
no, I mean, just leave a little puzzle behind for fun.
right,
For
right,
funsies.
right.
If you plan on drowning yourself, you go,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm going to drown myself, but I'm going to fuck with people first.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them the CIA and the Mossad is running a pedo ring, and
Yeah. It's possible, probably less possible.
or he was schizophrenic and he thought that was really happening and he went crazy and he ran into the water and got fucking taken out by the riptide.
Right.
And drowned. I mean, he doesn't look like the healthiest fella.
Right.
There was a
Yeah.
couple years back, like a WWE wrestler, some stud athlete, got drowned, got caught in a riptide, and didn't make it to shore.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a little weird to go swimming with all your clothes on and all that.
Maybe he was hot. Maybe he wanted to know what it feels like to swim with clothes on. What the fuck, man? That's so what the kids call sus.
Yeah, that's sus, son.
That's very sus. Damn, I mean, is there anything more sus?
Dude, it's a dirty world run by brilliant psychopaths.
3 possible futures for me. By the way, his handle is delete shitcoin. 3 possible futures for me. 1, suicided by CIA. 2, CIA brain damage slave asset. 3, worst nightmare of people who fucked with me up until now. I am sure these are the only options. So in the future, he could have been the worst nightmare for the people who were fucking with him right there and then. Wow.
It's hard to know, but, you know, when there's motive, it makes you wonder.
Well, it fucking for sure makes you wonder. Yeah. This is what makes people on, like, 4chan go crazy, right?
Yeah.
These kind of things?
Yeah.
This is what you, like, if you're one of those people that's inclined to believe that Q's a real person, and then this kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
Like, that was the whole thing behind Q, right? That Donald Trump was going to expose the pedophiles and, you know, JFK Jr. is going to show up in Dallas.
Yeah. He was going to Star Trek up from the spot that his dad died and just...
How crazy is that they thought that JFK Jr. was a part of it all? They were still alive this whole time, just under the radar, ready to pop up decades later to save Trump.
It's like adult fan fiction. It's like adult Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. It's like
cosplay.
Yeah, it's cosplay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
It's
spies.
exciting. It's
Yeah.
exciting. It's a much more exciting life when you're a dangerous secret. When you're in on something. It's better than just eating soup at Panera Bread and maybe the person knows your name.
Watching The Big Bang.
Yeah, watching The Big Bang.
And chuckling every couple episodes.
As your neck fat just grows and grows into a bubble. Yeah.
Your liver just gets toxic. And
It's better to be James Bond.
you go to sleep drunk every night.
Yeah. Digital James Bond. And then you form camaraderie with other people. You have this whole social scene. And you guys are all in on this dangerous secret. But the truth probably lies in between that and, that there's nothing going on.
Well, I also think that if I was running some sort of an illegal operation, one thing I would do is make it seem ridiculous. So I would hire people to go post outrageous stuff online to the point where none of it makes any sense anymore because it all seems so crazy. If you believe in that, you believe in lizard people and the earth is flat. And,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there's something to that.
Yeah, and the people who do run shit are sometimes evil geniuses, and they think of all those things, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. They always have the advantage, like the Joker.
They always have the
They
advantage.
always have the advantage because they have the will, they want it.
Well, when you get to people like George Soros and that other guy, the Klaus Schwab guy, the World Economic Forum guy,
I don't know him.
he's the World Economic Forum is you will own nothing and you will be happy. Do you know that?
No.
That was a tweet the
Oh,
World
yeah.
Economic Forum put out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you the tweet. The World Economic Forum sent this tweet out in like 2016, and it's a picture of this girl, and it says, see if you can find it, Jamie. It says, the tweet was from 2016. It said, you will own nothing and you'll be happy. And it's a real tweet. It's a real tweet that they put out in 2016. And they put it out because of this thing from the World Economic Forum.
I own nothing. I have no privacy, and life has never been better.
Imagine that. She's a member of parliament in Denmark, and this is what they're promoting. No privacy, no ownership in anything, and just pure happiness.
Oh, God.
Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. Imagine.
Yeah.
So this is a real tweet from 2016 from the World Economic Forum's Twitter account. Imagine just saying that to people and putting that thought out there and like, oh, great. Does that mean no one owns anything? Right. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Then can everybody just have everything?
Right.
Or does someone own something?
Right.
Like, does the state own everything? Right. And they tell you what you can have and what you can't have. But you never have it. You just live in it.
Right. They never frame it that way because it's either one of those two options, and they are mutually exclusive. Either you own it or the state owns it. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, and these are the people that are trying to promote the idea of eating bugs and no more meat. And
yeah.
This is all wild movie shit.
It is. It is movie shit, and they always leave that. They conveniently leave that part out because they're like, "Oh, you don't own or share it all." Then like somebody, then that means the government owns it and they're distributing. Then they own it. So the people who are in the government, they have the advantage. That's like no, it's that utopian bullshit. When people get into that utopian bullshit, it's always erroneous. It's always going to be nefarious because it doesn't exist in reality. You're not coming up with a solution in reality. You're basing it on ideals, and ideals don't exist.
You're also saying it when you're the World Economic Forum,
Right.
Davos,
Right.
where billionaires fly in to decide the fate of the civilization that we currently enjoy.
Right.
And this is your message.
Right.
You're telling the plebs,
Right.
you'll own nothing.
Right.
You'll be so happy. And like people are like, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Because most people can't wait.
Yeah.
Because
And
most people are young people, right? They're just getting started in the world. They don't have anything yet.
Yeah. And they
see
believe
these-
in that utopian message.
Yeah. They
Whereas,
think-
are the billionaires going to give up Are they going to give up all their property and money? No.
And they show up at the art gallery and they throw soup on the Van Gogh and they glue their hand to the wall and they think they're going to fix the world.
Yeah. That was the age. And usually they do that because it's cool and they're trying to impress a chick, really.
Or
Vice versa.
are they them?
Or they them. Or they them is trying to impress another
they them.
They them.
Did you see the Porsche one? That's my favorite. They did it at a Porsche. Was it the Porsche Museum or the Porsche exhibit? Porsche Museum. They did it at the Porsche Museum. The Porsche Museum people all left and they shut the lights off. So fuck you. Stay there. You
Yeah.
glued your hand to the floor.
Yeah.
We're not even going to call the cops.
Yeah, just leave you there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Leave them.
Yeah.
Leave them and eat that shitty German food.
Yeah, you were you're not winning any people over to your cause when you do dumb shit like that.
But they're all doing it. It's happening left and right now. It keeps happening over and over and over again. People are doing it. It's like now it's a trend. So now they arrested people that were a part of an organization that were trying to go into a museum somewhere in Europe and do that. Now they're catching them before they can actually get off the glue on the hand move.
It's a terrorist act.
It's fucking crazy.
It's a terrorist act. To do that, it's terrorism. To
Well-
fucking attack a iconic painting is terrorism.
And they're saying they're doing it, but they know that it won't ruin the painting because it's covered in glass. Like, you don't get to make that choice.
Right.
Not only that, like, how do you know how old that frame is? Do you know if that frame is historic as well? Like, do you know that? Like, that frame might be 1,000 years old.
Right.
You're throwing soup on a 1,000-year-old frame?
Right.
Like, do you know? Like, I don't know.
That's the equivalent of going like assaulting a woman and being like, well, she asked for it. She'll be fine. It was like she wouldn't want it.
She's fine.
You're rationalizing it. You're justifying it. It's you
you're-
committed a terrorist crime.
You're doing it to further this cause that you probably have very little understanding of, too. Mm-hmm. Like, if you really knew what you're saying, just stopping all oil. I had Bjorn Lomborg on the podcast the other day, who what is his official title? He's written books in the environment, but he's also, is he a statistician? Like, what is his find out what his official thing is. But Bjorn essentially was saying the way to save lives is not by everybody quitting oil. The way to save lives is to get people out of poverty. And the best way to get people out of poverty is to provide them with power and with industry and a bunch of things that's going to raise these people that are dying of tuberculosis and malaria. And like that would save a lot of people. He's a Danish author, statistician, and president of the think tank Copenhagen Consensus Center. So his take wasn't that global warming and human beings contributing to it is not a problem. He said it is a problem. But if we stopped everything in the United States, it's a small percentage of what the world does, and they're not going to stop it. Right. What we need to do is figure out how to get to these places that are particularly like the most horrible scenarios in terms of like people's chance to live a good life and try to elevate those people. And you'll have less pollution. You'll have less problems. You'll have less of this if you have less people that are living in dire poverty. They don't give a fuck about burning coal, or some of these people are burning paper to feed their homes or to warm their homes and to cook their food on. And he was saying that like living inside these homes where these people do this is like the equivalent of smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day for everybody lives there. They're just breathing toxic shit all the time.
Probably some truth to that too, but you can't let like the corporations off the hook and rich people off the hook either. I mean, like, you know, all the companies that dump chemicals in the Hudson River and do all that stuff that's unregulated.
No one's saying that.
Yeah.
But what he is saying is that the real way to concentrate on helping people is increasing their capacity for education, you know, getting them great education, and raising industry in those areas where people can make a living, and getting them out of these thatched roof houses and aluminum siding houses where they get destroyed every time storms go through, and getting them to safe homes.
For sure.
And building, you know, like making life better for them, and like trying to improve the economic situation. He goes, that's going to save way more lives than this is.
Right.
And he said he thinks the solution is in technology to mitigate these problems, not just completely stopping oil. Like, they have to come up with viable alternatives.
We're too far down the road now anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just unrealistic to be like, hey, let's just all go live off the land. And plus, when you go to electric, you still need oil to power that, to power the grid. Like,
Well, that's the dirty secret about
people don't know
electric
that.
cars.
And tires are made of rubber and all the. I mean, there's so much that oil. You can't just go stop oil. You got to figure it out somehow slowly.
Yeah, we got to get better the same way we got sick.
What do you mean?
By using it's a gambling term.
Right.
Like, say if you and I were gambling, we were playing pool, and I won 5 games in a row, and you said like double or nothing. I'd say no. You got to get better the same way you got sick. Like, you're 5 games down. Like, if we're paying $100 a game, and you want to bet $500 in the next game. No. You got to get better the same way you got sick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a chance to win it all back
Right.
in one game. Get the fuck out of here. And in life, like, if it takes this much time to pollute the ocean, and this much time to ruin the streams, and this much time to get all that carbon in the air, we probably should be looking at some long-term solution that includes renewable energy, that includes all these things, and then like slowly migrating in a safe way that doesn't fuck us economically.
You're 100% right. Yeah.
But in those countries, like, it's imperative.
Yeah.
In countries that are like, there's a lot of countries that are contributing the most to all this carbon that's in the
China,
atmosphere.
big time, right?
Big time. They're not going to stop.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen.
Right.
They're not going to listen.
No.
So we're over here like a small percentage of the world's problem, and we're still going to be buying shit from China. So we're going to be like funding it. We're going to be funding all this pollution over there.
Right. Well, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, and there's one thing I don't understand why they keep doing the zero tolerance COVID lockdowns at the factories, because that's just making American companies diversify where their factories are. Isn't that hurting their pocket? I don't understand why they're doing it. I don't get it.
People are wild, dude.
Is it just because they're authoritarian, or
I think that's it. I think they just crack that whip on people.
they just can't get out of their own way in that way or something?
I mean, it seems to be a way of managing people that's very common, right? That authoritarian, zero tolerance way of treating people. That's how you keep people scared. And if you do that with tweets, like they do that with tweets. Like, if you tweet over there, you're fucked. If you tweet something shitty, you put out something on whatever their social media apps are, you're fucked. That's the case in Saudi Arabia too, right? You're fucked.
Right.
You tweet some shit about the government, you complain about the government, you're fucked. You know, that's what they do.
Yeah.
You can't get away with it.
Well, they're fucking up the supply chain, and
Well, the whole world is
Yeah.
fucked right now in that way.
and that's going to make companies go like, we're going to move our factory here because they don't have those types of zero tolerance policies. They're not shutting down like that. We need to keep those trains moving. People need their fucking iPhones.
Well, also,
they need their upgrade.
we shouldn't be reliant upon all these other countries for everything we need because it's cheaper.
No.
That seems dumb.
Well, we got sold out a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
When we went overseas with the factories and sort of said fuck you to the American worker who wanted, certain rights.
That's
and-
Roger and Me. That documentary, Roger and Me, when you see how devastating it was to all the communities around those car manufacturing plants.
Money, man, what it
Fuck,
does to
dude.
people. A little more, pad that bottom line a little more, and that's sort of the flaw in our system, but it's the best flaw. It's the best. I believe it's still
The best system.
the best system. Yeah, not the best flaw. It's like the least problem of all the problems.
Yeah.
That can be mitigated with a little bit of, I don't know, socialist temperance. I don't know.
A little regulation.
Yeah, mixed economy seems to work pretty decently.
It seems like you need some sort of regulation, but you also need a healthy economy. Because in a healthy economy, more people are making money, more jobs are available, and people do better.
For sure.
And people do better, then economically, if people are doing better, you would assume that would equate to probably like less crime, less poverty, less problems, more. If we just concentrated on that, more education, better education, less poverty, like that should be like the mandate for the country. Fix all the problem cities, fix all the problems that are seriously economically disenfranchised communities that have existed that way forever. If they don't fix that, you're always going to have this gigantic fucking problem in this country.
Yeah.
And the places that lost everything because of manufacturing, maybe you could bring everything back.
Yeah, why
maybe
not?
it's possible.
Why not? It's not too late. Bring it back.
Look, they make a lot of shit in America already. If we start making most of the stuff that we need, if we can be completely self-sustainable on this continent, if shit goes sideways again, like it did during the lockdowns, wouldn't cause as much of a hiccup.
Yeah. And if you're gonna spend money, spend it on education. Because Aristotle warned a long time ago, the future of a civilization depends on the education of citizens. It's true. I mean, and the way we fund the public school system is all by property taxes. It's very inequitable, and that's not in anyone's interest in the bigger picture.
No.
Public education should, in my opinion, be good no matter where you are, no matter how expensive or inexpensive the property is. That should be a priority of your empire or civilization, whatever you want to call it. We're an empire, let's just be honest. It should be a priority, a top priority, that our citizens are fucking just as smart as Finnish kids. Those fucking Finnish people.
But then there's the conspiracy theory. And the conspiracy theory is that our education system sucks on purpose. Because it's good to have a bunch of people that don't know what the fuck is going on, because those people are easier to control than people that are well educated and objective and analyze things, and they're not as easy to fool.
Yeah.
You can trick people with certain narratives. You can if you want to get elected, if you're in a place where people have to get elected, you need a lot of rubes.
Yeah.
You need a lot of people that are gullible. You need a lot of people wearing red hats. You need a lot of people that are fucking storming the Capitol. You need a lot of people with flags hanging out of their pickup trucks. You need a lot of rubes.
Right. And there's stupid people
Not
on the
saying
other
they're
side
the only
too.
rubes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's rubes on the other
There's
side
plenty
as well.
of rubes. There's plenty of rubes on the other side that are yelling the loudest.
I would say that there's legitimacy to that.
To both of
and
those
it's
things.
deep rooted in a flaw in our system or in democracy, but still the best system.
The best system.
Yeah.
It's just like all systems. There's room for improvement. Mm-hmm. It's just that because it's run by the government, they suck at everything.
They really are slow.
They suck at everything.
Yeah.
But that's just the only thing they're good at is the post office. Post office is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And they're good when they fund private companies to do shit. The private companies do it pretty good.
Yes. They're
That
good at
dance,
that.
a lot of people critique that dance, but that dance seems to work pretty good in a lot of cases.
Imagine if you could make it super profitable to clean up Baltimore.
Yeah.
Super profitable. Like
It-
like one of them fucking no bid contracts that Halliburton got over in Iraq.
Yeah. Yeah, because look, at the end of the day, not to sound like an Ayn Rand objectivist, but we're basically selfish creatures. So we're self-interested, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a thing, because it is what it is. And so if you can find a way to use that for good, if you can play on that for good, and capitalism is the best way to facilitate that. To say, hey, here's this good you can do, and you'll get rich doing it.
But then there's people that are like, but socialism's never been given a chance.
It's been given plenty of fucking chances.
No. We ruined Cuba with the embargo.
Well, if it was a better system, it would have been able to withstand that. That's what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, also, they kind of like were dictators over there, and they force people into labor. They force people into doing things. That's not a good example. Cuba's not the best example when you talk to people that lived in Cuba. It's
exactly. Yeah.
completely restrictive. You don't want a utopian culture like that. And the idea is that utopian culture is only that way because of the embargo. That's just a guess. Like, even if we didn't have the embargo with Cuba, if it's run by Castro, I guarantee you he's going to have a certain amount of control. It's not like he put that control over the people just because of the embargo. Like, that's how that guy ran shit.
Well, this is this is the sort of the thorn in that the idealism of socialism is they're saying like everyone will be equal, but what the reality is everyone will be all the same poor, because in order to be rich or well off, you have to be a capitalist. So that's the truth. And that's why socialism doesn't work. And that's why, if you look, case in point, in reality, they're all fucking poor. Guess who's not poor? The fucking guy in power. He's never poor. In any of the communist countries, you never see those guys walking around with no fucking shoes trying to get a baseball contract. They're not, Fidel Castro wasn't like, my only hope is to swim on a shoe and get a Yankee deal. He was fine. He had the best cigars. He had the steak when he wanted, and everybody else was eating their fucking shoes.
Exactly.
That's the reality.
But
and
would
that's
he have
got
been
nothing
like
to
that?
do with the United States.
What if there's no embargo? What if they had free trade with Cuba?
Yeah, well, what if my mother was my father? Then she would have a dick. I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? Those are people who don't live in the real world. Like you said, aptly said, ask someone who lived there.
Yeah.
Well,
talk to Joey. Joey still has relatives over there in Cuba. And Joey's family came over here when he was young. And, I know quite a few people that came from Cuba, that talk about like what it was like to try to escape, including Yoel Romero, who came on the podcast and Joey translated for him. Yeah, not good. It's never been done in a way that makes me say, that looks good.
Yeah.
It's always the equality of outcome is a dangerous situation because it has to be enforced, right? And there's the only way to enforce, and also people need motivation to do extreme things. Like if Elon Musk wasn't worth $280 billion a year, do you think he'd be, or $280 billion period? Do you think he'd be willing to work 16-hour days and fucking sleep on the floor of the Tesla plant and in the same time run SpaceX, at the same time buy Twitter? Like, the guy's a psycho. Like, you need psychos. You need people that are like extremely driven. Because those are the ones that are innovators. They get things done.
Absolutely.
They get things done that you and I are not going to get done.
Right.
If it's about sending civilization to Mars and creating high-speed internet access through satellite all around the world, and they're relying on Yannis Pappas and Joe Rogan, we got a real fucking problem. Right? We got a real problem. And you need room for those people, and you need room for overachievers. And you also need room for people that just want to coast.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You want to get a nice job working for the fucking the garbage company, and you just get up every morning, you're done by 9 a.m., fine.
Yeah.
You could do that too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's better for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you got to have room for people to make choices. And you got to have room. That's what, like, the problem with, and Yeonmi Park talked about this recently. See if you can find that. There's a speech that she gave recently where she talked about how coming from North Korea and what people call inequality in America, she thought was amazing, because that meant you could work hard and you could get to this place of having wealth and happiness and prosperity if you just did the right thing and worked hard. Whereas in North Korea, that was absolutely impossible. She lived and escaped when she was 13 years old, the worst case scenario. A country that's literally starving their people and killing their people if they like kill animals. Like if you go and kill a cow and slaughter it, they'll kill you.
Right.
And they do it publicly, let everybody know that you are completely under the control of a government. And the way they did it was by telling people they were going to take over their farms, because that way they were going to feed everyone. They were going to control everything. Yeah. But then no, it went sideways like it always does. Like, let's hear the speech.
Do you know how North Korea became how it is today? When Kim Il-sung came, he made one promise to North Korean people. I'm going to feed you rice and meat stew each meal. And I'm going to get rid of all the inequality. If I do that, why don't you give me all your land and all your rights? We wanted no inequality, so we gave our land, our rights to this one guy. He took everything from us. So whenever in America I came, and people in Manhattan living in the best city in the world telling me passionately how America is so bad. So I asked them, so what is it so bad about America that you hate so much? And they say, you know what? We have inequality in this country. That's an amazing thing that you can rise to compared to other people. The enemy is poverty, not inequality.
That's some deep shit right there.
That's from a woman who suffered under the North Korean regime and escaped when she was 13.
She knows what the fuck she's talking about.
She knows what the fuck she's talking about. When you talk to her about the harrowing story of her escaping to China and then eventually getting to America, like, fuck.
That was very moving to watch. And it's true. When you elevate the group over the individual, inevitably, the individual loses his rights.
And someone has to be in control of that.
Because you always justify anything you do for the group by sacrificing the individual.
Right, and it's not like they're going to be good at this when they haven't been good at anything. Like they're terrible at all this.
Yeah.
And if this is what they're doing with this FTX shit or whatever the fuck it is, FTX, I said that right? Like, what other fucking shenanigans are going on with money and power?
Right.
Like how much shenanigans are involved totally? Until you're willing to take money out of politics, we're never going to fix that.
You have to. That has to happen, or else they'll.
Seems like it's
just
not gonna.
Perpetual corruption. Yeah.
Yeah, perpetual corruption.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Thank God they're good at counting votes. They're so fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in certain states they're fast.
No,
Certain
they're
states
so
slow.
fast.
Yeah.
Like Arizona, it's only been a week. Mm-hmm. You remember when you used to know the night?
Yes.
The night of the election?
Yeah, now it
who
takes
wins?
a long time. Yeah.
You know in Florida, and you know in Texas, and you know in a couple other spots, like right away.
Yeah.
But in Arizona, they're like, we don't know.
Right.
Still finding votes.
Yeah.
Still finding votes.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well. It's usually like, are we starting to become a banana republic? We can't even fucking count
Hey,
votes.
you shouldn't even say that. You shouldn't even question whether or not this voting's legitimate.
Right.
You really shouldn't question election results, even though everybody does.
Right.
Even though everybody does. They
Yeah.
all do. All of them.
Unfortunately, they all do. Yeah.
They all do. Every single one of them.
Hillary did. Trump did.
They all
yeah,
do.
they all do it. Yeah.
Remember they caught that lady who was the White House press secretary? She questioned the results of the 2016 election. She
Right.
did it on Twitter, openly and publicly.
Right. When some of that shit's just sore loser shit too.
Stacey Abrams did it. They all do it. They all do it.
Yeah.
Didn't Hillary Clinton do it? They all do it.
Hillary Clinton did it.
They all blame Russia and fucking all kinds of other shit.
She called him an illegitimate president. I mean, I think she was doing it retroactively, but still, it's no good. You can't do that. Then people start to question everything.
Obama didn't do that.
No, Obama. Look,
when Trump won.
Yeah, I mean, he carpet bombed the Middle East, but hey, a lot of soldiers didn't die. He put American lives first.
Bunch of drone strikes.
Yeah,
they weren't that accurate.
Look, they all do bad shit, but I do it just to back up ideals for one thing. Our country, just to say something good about certain ideals.
Should we play the sound?
Yeah, individual rights and rule of law is what we as Americans, I think, should always prioritize, because that's what keeps the people in control, and we should hold them all accountable no matter how powerful they are, and we should always elevate the system over any individual. And what's been disconcerting to me is watching people start to worship individuals. You know, that's what we came here to avoid, you know, when they start following people, certain politicians as if they're kings, and no matter what they do, they're beyond reproach. That's not what we're about. We're about critiquing them all. And I say this as a jester whose job it is to make fun of fucking everybody, including myself, all the time, to keep us humble and always strive for rule of law, because you can't give anyone the benefit of the doubt over rule of law, even if you love them or like them, because once you do that, you're opening it up for the devil to use that that same loophole that you created to get someone you thought was bad in order to wreak havoc.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
you can't have blind allegiance towards a party and you don't even know the people. You don't even know them.
You don't know them.
Yeah. You haven't seen them turn into lizards when the moon is full. They get in that special room in the middle of the White House.
There's that great scene though from A Man for All Seasons where St. Thomas More.
What is that?
It's if Jamie can pull it up. It's probably on YouTube. It gives me chills every time I see it when I fucking watch it. But it's basically about that, where some guys, he's in power and the guy's asking him to arrest this guy. And he goes, I'm not doing it. He didn't break the law. And he's like, but you know he did bad shit. But he goes, until he broke the law, I want to arrest him. And he goes, why would you not do that? Like if you know, and then he goes, because if I broke the law, you know, and then you're trying to get this guy, and I laid every fucking law flat. Here it is.
He's dangerous.
For libel, he's a spy.
Father, that man's bad.
There's no law against that.
There is God's law.
Then God can arrest him.
While you talk, he's gone.
And go he should if he were the devil himself until he broke the law.
So, now you'd give the devil benefit of law.
Yes, what would you do? Cut a great road through the law to get after the devil?
Yes. I'd cut down every law in England to do that.
Oh? And when the last law was down and the devil turned round on you, where would you hide, Roper, the laws all being flat? This country is planted thick with laws from coast to coast, man's laws, not God's, and if you cut them down, and you're just the man to do it, do you really think you could stand upright in the winds that would blow then? Yes, I'd give the devil benefit of law for my own safety's sake.
It's big picture thinking.
That's big picture thinking.
Deep.
That's
deep shit.
That is deep.
And that's what.
That's why the ACL supported Nazis. Supported Nazis having the right to free expression.
Absolutely.
Like you have to have freedom of speech, absolutely, because as soon as you control it, you tell people you can't say this or you can't say that. Then you've created this fucking moving line.
Absolutely.
You can move it over here. Like, well, this is a problem for democracy.
Yep.
The very democracy's at stake here. We've got to silence this. Where did that laptop come from? I think that was Russian disinformation. We don't have to have that on the network here.
Right. Yeah.
It's all dangerous stuff, man.
You got to give. You got to treat the worst people with the same standard of rule of law as the best people. They got to go on trial. They got to. This is how we do it. We're civilized. This is how we do it.
They got to have a better system of counting votes, though. It's an amazing system. It's the best system. There's no better system has ever been created in this system. It's perfect.
Yeah. What can they do?
Well, I don't know. Whatever Florida did. Florida was done in a night.
Yeah.
I mean, what did they do differently? Apparently, they had
that was where the red wave was. It was in Florida.
Election policing. They had you have to have an ID to vote, which not having an ID to vote seems so crazy. Where you had to have an ID that showed you were vaccinated to have a job, and to work in a restaurant, and even to fly overseas. But now you don't have to have that to vote.
That's crazy.
That seems silly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That seems wild.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And that certainly benefits one party over the other in a lot of ways, yeah.
It just seems like it would benefit whoever's in control of the situation. You know, if you're, like, are you making a deal with people that come across? Like, how does that work? Because, like, if you ever look at, like, the parts of Texas that vote blue, there's a giant chunk near the border.
Yeah.
You ever see the blue map of Texas?
Yeah.
Like Texas, all the farmlands
Yeah.
and all the prairies and all that shit, the ranches, it's all red as fuck. But right where the border of Mexico is, there's a large patch of blue, son.
I saw that. You're right about that. I saw that, yeah.
They get across and they're like, you know what to do. Like, yes, sir.
Well, that's where the Democrats, it's just ridiculous, man, when you bring up the border and you just go, hey, maybe we shouldn't have illegal aliens in there, and they just go straight to, hey, no person's illegal, don't say that. You're going like, that's sort of like the, you know, you just shut down the argument by calling someone a boomer, and you're going like, that's not an argument.
Yeah.
It's not an argument to say no person's illegal. It's like, you know what I'm saying. Every country has a border. People should immigrate legally, right? Right? And they go, they just don't answer. They just
Well, it's
go,
not
no
like they're
person's
catching
illegal.
terrorist watch list people coming through, is it? Oh, yeah, it is.
I'm sure there's some of that.
Oh,
yeah.
they catch them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they catch them all the time.
Yeah, if you were a terrorist, you'd be like, hey, there's a porous border. Let me just walk through.
And
Yeah.
how many people are getting through every day? Isn't it some incredible number, like 2 million people this year?
Right
came
now,
across
it's
the border?
the worst. It's bad. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that Greg Abbott said, the governor of Texas, fine state of Texas, he said they have to control the border between Mexico and South America and Central America because that's where they're coming through.
Right.
Because they're coming through into Mexico. Because the amount of people that are coming across that are just Mexicans, I think it's a fairly low number. It's not the majority of people coming through Mexico. They're coming from other countries that are far poorer than Mexico.
They walk into Mexico and then come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a lot of people trying to break into communist countries. They're not swimming on rafts to get into fucking
North Korea.
Yeah.
They'll fucking shoot you. They'll shoot you. They only have a certain amount of bugs for people to eat. It's not enough for you over here.
Yeah.
When you fly over North Korea at night and you see it's dark and South Korea is lit up, that's what's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild.
It's just so resentful, too, when we talk about the border and anything, you know, that's common sense. You just get accused. They just go with that racist angle. It's like, you can't be, you're like,
But what's crazy
who
is
cares? If it was, if fucking Sweden was on our border, it would be the same thing. It's like, you can't have illegal people coming in. You just can't. Every sovereign country has a fucking border. They can't not have borders. There's many
Obama
reasons
ran
why.
on that. Obama, when he was running for president, ran on that. We got to secure the border.
Yeah.
We have to have safe and secure borders. He gave a famous speech about that.
Yeah.
They all said that.
Yeah, they hated him. They called him the deporter in chief was his nick because he deported actually more illegals than I think any other president. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
Really?
His nickname was the deporter in chief, and
So
the
was it-
left criticized him.
Was it him that was doing that?
It was his policies.
And what were those policies
It
specifically?
was kind of some
about
zero tolerance type shit. Yeah, where he was really tough on him.
But then you meet some people that snuck across, and they're really nice folks. And you're like, I want a pathway for you to come over here. seem like a productive member of society.
It's a perfect example. How there's no solutions, only trade-offs. The great Thomas
Sowell.
Sowell. It's a great quote,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of truth to it.
It's a lot of truth to it. But people always want solutions, and those trade-offs seem messy. But messy trade-offs, that's what life's all about.
Yeah, reality is messy, man. It's messy. I think grown-ups know that, you know?
Well, another thing that we were talking about on the way over here that we should probably talk about before we leave is what's happening in Iran. Like, what is going on over there with, I told you there was like 14,000 plus people that they might sentence to death for protesting.
That's insane. Yeah.
And it all started out when that girl had her headscarf on improperly and she was killed.
Yeah.
And so that started riots all over the world.
Right.
And they're rioting like what is going on right now currently in Iran? Do you know about that story, Jamie?
I mean, I'm Googling and looking at, but I don't, I'm trying to find like the most up-to-date answer for that.
You're not hearing a lot about that in the news.
Yeah, it's like today I think they said 15,000 or 14,000 people are being...
An estimated 15,000 people are detained as Iran executes first rioter.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. 14,000 people fighting for basic freedoms are facing the death penalty in Iran.
They've been
mostly teens and young adults.
They've been arrested and detained.
Shit. Iran issues first death sentence over protests. Javid Rehman, special UN reporter on the situation of human rights in Iran, last week said as many as 14,000 people had been arrested.
Dude, have you seen pictures of Iran before the theocracy took over? Like, it was just like...
Yeah.
And same with Afghanistan. It's just fucking chill.
Rapper who protested over death of Masha Amini faces execution in Iran. 22-year-old Masha Amini died in custody, having been arrested by Iran's morality police. This is crazy. Iranian lawmakers demand no leniency for protesters as mass demonstrations continue. So they're trying to threaten people and kill people to quitting. They're going to execute their way out of this. It says Iran votes to execute protesters, says rebels need a hard lesson.
Ugh. Appreciate America, everyone.
Look at that. Look at the scene.
Yeah, it's bad news over there.
I wonder what happens if imagine this one girl got killed and that's what started this off. If they really do execute 14,000 people, Iran's parliament voted by a majority, 227 out of 290, to execute all protesters. Wow. The authorities emphasize that the rebels need to be taught the most hard lesson. Holy fuck, dude. It's unclear when the executions will be carried out, but the task will potentially be significant. As of Thursday, CNN reports about 14,000 people have been arrested in connection with the recent protests. On Tuesday, Carnegie Endowment fellow Karim Sadjapour said the number was nearing 15,000.
That's why it's important to have separation of church and state.
Scroll back down, please. It says in the last 8 weeks, Iran's regime has killed over 300 protesters, imprisoned nearly 15,000, and threatened to execute hundreds more. Yet Iran's women persist. Today, female university students removed their forced hijab and chant, "I am a free woman." That is real oppression, folks. That's
Yeah.
what real oppression looks like.
Well, we got our problems here, too. There is a wage gap of 25 cents or something.
Look at this, man. This is wild. And they're wearing masks. Do you think they're wearing masks to hide their identity, or do you think they're afraid of COVID?
I think they're hiding their identity.
Yeah,
maybe,
because think about what they're doing. I mean, they're going up against. I mean, they have to be brave as fuck. They're going up against possible real death. Wow. This is wild.
Makes you
man.
appreciate America, man.
This is scary shit, man. That's scary shit. That is really scary. It's hard for people to believe that could happen here. It really is. It's hard for people, but you have to realize that's happening somewhere in the world in 2022 while we're enjoying lattes from Starbucks and fucking Netflix. In other parts of the world, you have to dress a specific way or you will be killed. Like that is happening in a modern country with the internet.
Yep.
They have cell phones, they have cars, and they're killing people for dressing incorrectly. And then they're going to kill the protesters.
Yeah. horrible, and those girls have a lot of courage, and all those people who are protesting have a lot of courage. And
That's real courage.
yeah, that's
right?
real courage, man. That's the real deal.
Real consequences.
Yes.
And that, I think, when we talk about what Yeonmi Park said and what we see what's going on in Iran, that should give everybody perspective. It's not to say that we're perfect over here, but the burn it all down thing that people want to do, these kids, burn capitalism to the ground. Listen, that result will be far more horrendous than anything you could possibly imagine. If you just upturned the entire government and the military and everything that's controlling the country, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen if you take over and have a distribution of wealth and take the money away from all the rich people and give it to all the poor people? Who's going to run this? How do you think that's going to go? How long before you're getting branded above your pussy? Is it 50 years? How many years?
A couple months.
Someone's going to take over, folks,
Yeah.
and they're going to do it for your own good. And
Yeah.
you're going to be happy and you're going to own nothing.
Yeah, the brilliance of America is that they learned all the lessons. The founding fathers in that generation, that American enlightened generation, learned all the lessons of these things that have played out in history before. And we still see it in places of the world that are not as enlightened. And that's the result. That's the result. It's never going to be the utopia you think.
We need to make our system better. We can't throw it away. We need to fix this thing slowly and carefully in a way that doesn't overturn everything.
Well said.
If we don't, we're fucked. And the real problem is not 78 genders and whether or not the oceans are going to boil. The real problem is money in politics. And is that these motherfuckers put us in positions in order for them to gain extreme wealth, and they do that for their own benefit. And they've always done that. They've done that forever. And in every fucking world event that happens, every big thing that goes on that gets everybody scared, there's a certain part of this world that capitalizes on that, and they tighten down control and they tighten down regulations and they do things in order to have more power and to profit. And they've always done it that way.
Yeah.
That's their motivation. That's why they got that job in the first place.
Yeah.
They didn't get that job. If they did get that job initially to save the world, after 30 years of working with Nancy Pelosi, you change your tune.
Yeah. Are they amending that now with the Stock Act? They're trying to.
No. Everyone should be allowed to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But no, I don't agree with that. I agree we should be allowed to participate. She pushed the microphone away and walked out of there like, we're done here.
Yeah. Don't
We're
ask
done
any
here.
more questions about that.
Sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
Sit down. You need to answer questions.
Yeah.
How are you better at this than Warren Buffett?
Yeah, why your husband is outperforming the market. I mean, the guy's got the golden touch. How did that happen?
It seems weird that he knows these things before they happen.
It's not just her though. A lot of lot of Republicans have been convicted of insider trading. Yeah, more Republicans have been convicted of insider trading.
Oh, listen, man, it's
not a partisan thing. It's a corruption thing.
Yes, it's a human thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking for sure it's the right. For sure they're doing it. For sure they were doing it during the Bush administration.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were all outraged at the Halliburton no-bid contracts to rebuild Iraq while fucking homeboy,
Dick
who's
Cheney,
vice president of
crazy.
the United States, was the CEO of Halliburton. He leaves and becomes the vice president, and there's a magical connection. It just worked out. Yeah. It's crazy. I know these guys. They can do the job.
They're so lucky.
We don't need the bid.
Yeah.
Why would you have a bid? Give them the contract.
Yeah.
Wild. They just do it right in front of everybody's face. It's not a partisan thing. It's not a left thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a Democratic thing. It's a fucking people in power thing.
For sure. Yeah.
Listen, man, the fucking the Democrats, they've been pushing for war historically as much as Republicans have been. Everybody does it. They all get in cahoots.
Yeah.
Eisenhower warned us.
Yeah, the military-industrial complex.
He warned us.
Yeah, he warned us on his way out when he had nothing to get. You know, he meant it. He know it was true, and you know it was true because he was like leaving. So it wasn't. He was like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know," and he was doing that as a former general, a former military guy, the most beloved,
a war hero.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Hey guys,
we got something. We got a problem here.
There's a machine.
Yeah,
that wants to make money.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah." And people want to pretend that it's all about equality. But when something like Roe v. Wade gets overturned, it's almost like if I was wanting chaos, that's what I would do. I'd be like, listen, I would, if you were smart, you'd go, listen, if we overturn Roe v. Wade, if we do this and cause this, you're going to lose a lot of people that are on the fence. You're going to lose a lot of people they're fiscally Republican but socially liberal. And what they think is they want more law and order, and they want less restrictions, and want less government control of them closing their business. All those, you're going to lose all of them as soon as because you're doing it in kind of a religious thing way.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying life begins at conception, and we're going to fight for those babies' lives. Like whoa.
Yeah.
What you're doing is all these people that may have looked at it and said, you know what, we need law and order. We need we need some fucking hardcore managers to like manage the aspects of our society that are important in order to have a healthy economy. Like that needs to be done properly where things can thrive again.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden this Roe v. Wade gets overturned and everybody's like, well, fuck that. Because you're going to give these people the power, and then what are they going to do next? They're going to go after gay marriage,
right? And
they probably are.
Yeah,
a lot of the same people that believe that life begins at conception also don't believe that men should be able to marry each other.
Oh yeah. And that's the whole danger of
maybe it's conception, or maybe it's contraception.
Yeah, well, that's the danger when you mix religion and power, and that's what the founding fathers saw, and that's why they wanted to separate them. And it's that same utopian thinking. Like, hey, look, if you believe life begins at conception, that's fine. Then you don't have an abortion.
Right,
but
you don't have to do it.
You don't have to do shit. But you putting that on somebody else, and look, I understand it's a murky issue of when, and when it gets late, it's weird, and a lot of countries have taken that into account, and they say you can only do first term. But if you really want to talk about God and the reason that you're pro-life is for God, then before around 1920, circa 1920, before medical technology advanced, and 20 to 50% of children died shortly before or after childbirth. Sometimes the mother would die. It's a brutal thing. So who aborts the most? GOD, which lets you know one thing: maybe God votes Democrat. I don't know, but God killed a lot of babies, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah, because
it's a harsh take.
But it's true. I mean, childbirth used to be very dangerous, and a lot of kids, what would have been kids, didn't make it. I mean, it's a violent process, and before we were able to really sanitize it and use modern medical technology to make it safe, a lot of kids died. I mean, how many kids did Abraham Lincoln have that died? I mean, like half his kids didn't make it. They died at 2 or 1. They'd get diseases real quick, shortly after childbirth. It would happen all the time.
That's what the life expectancy number's all about.
Right.
It comes the difference between now and then. I mean, life
Takes the average
expectancy has
down.
gone up a little bit with some people, but the average is like the real problem is child death.
So, I mean, that's a utopian take to believe that, like, I'm just pro-life. Well, then are you going to adopt all the kids? I mean, like, what do we do?
Yeah, it's a convenient take, but my issue with it also is that it kind of gets religious. And when it kind of gets religious, there is an argument that some people make about contraception. It gets real fucking squirrely, where people think that contraception is immoral. And that there's certain religious people that think that that's the next step they want to push for. I mean, if things go further and further down that line of control based on religious sensibilities and ideas, that is something you could see on the table. And then you know what you get after that? Wear your fucking headscarf or we'll shoot you.
Exactly. That's where it goes.
It always goes.
That's where it goes, yeah.
When you don't allow people to have freedom, things get slippery real quick, whether it's freedom to choose whether or not to have an abortion, whether it's freedom to choose what you wear and what you don't wear, what you say and what you don't say, what political party you affiliate yourself with. You can't like have an entire half of the country persona non grata because they believe in things that are different than what you believe in.
Yeah.
You're just othering people.
Yeah.
And you're creating this fucking weird place where it's okay for bad things to happen to them because they don't agree with you.
Yeah. And your beliefs are convenient. You're saying life is precious, and I agree it is, right? But it ain't all that precious to nature or God or whatever you want to call it. He takes all the time. So, keep your feet on the ground when you have your opinions. I mean, it's not all one thing or the other. I mean, it's a messy world, and
it's a messy world.
It's a messy world, man.
It's a messy world, but you can do better always, and you could do better with freedom. You could definitely do better if you don't have a centralized control over what people are allowed to say and do. That's never good. It's never good to give them even if you think you're doing it for good, it'll always turn fucking sideways.
Right. And to throw a bone, I mean, I agree. I think after first term or whatever it is, whatever's decided, it's a messy issue. That becomes a different thing where you're going like, hey, man, I think you're kind of killing a kid.
You're kind of killing a kid after a while.
Yeah, after
you
a
get
while.
to a certain point, you most certainly are.
You're kind of killing a kid.
But there's a lot of people on the left that don't ever want to admit that.
That's the problem.
That becomes ideological then because now you're not thinking rationally and logically. Because if it wasn't a child, if it wasn't a human, if you were trying to look at this in terms of an organism, you would say, well, is that organism viable?
Right.
Yeah. Is it viable outside the womb? Yes. You're choosing to kill it now, but if you just took it out of the womb, it would live and grow up? Yes? Okay. What are we doing?
Right.
That seems like killing a kid.
Right.
But if it's a cluster of cells and a girl just, found out yesterday that some guy that she did Molly with shot a live round in her and she's 18 years old, should she upend her life when she could just take a Plan B pill or when she can go and get an abortion? Who's to say?
Right.
Who the fuck are you to say that she has to have a kid now?
What gives you the authority or the moral authority over her to say what she's going to do with her life or what she wants to do? That's bullshit.
Yeah, and the hardliners are at conception.
And the hardliners can go fuck themselves. Like, as far as like if a girl's raped or something and then you don't look at her rights at all and you say she should have the baby, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
I would fucking do everything in my power to kill you if you tried to make any of my relatives have a kid who is from a relative who was raped. I mean, that's
children.
That's ridiculous.
Including children.
Yeah,
I've had that argument with people. They talk about children being raped.
That's ridiculous.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And that, if you wanted to create chaos, wouldn't you push for that? Because that's the way if you've got like some sort of division in this country where people are trying to figure out which side to be on and which side to not be on, well, that throws a whole fucking monkey wrench into the thing.
Yeah. Well, I think the right has always been opposed to it. I mean, remember the religious right used to be like the main opponent until Trump kind of upended that. He claimed, he's like, I'm a Christian, I go to church, but I mean, he's fucking, he's getting he's probably, I know that the Steele dossier was bullshit for the most part, and they didn't have any video of him peeing on a hooker. But if someone told me he peed on a hooker, I'd believe he peed on a hooker.
I thought they peed on him.
Or she peed on him, yeah. Either way, it wouldn't surprise me if Trump fucking, if a hooker peed on him.
It's always a pee thing, right? Like you want to shame someone.
Yeah.
He likes getting peed on.
Yeah.
It's just like he likes getting his dick sucked.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, who doesn't?
Whatever it is, he's not a born-again Christian. He's not a hardcore Christian. He's a New York fucking
real estate mogul
who loves models, loves fucking,
Didn't he ran like Miss USA or Miss Universe or some shit?
Yeah. He grabbed people by the pussy when he could.
Bit.
Yeah. He admitted it. I mean, he's not the model religious man,
but so he's an alternative for some of the rubes. Yeah. Like they could see him being the better version of what they would like from someone running shit.
I think that's why they voted for him. I think most of the votes were because they hated Hillary because she's so unlikable and for many other reasons. But
also they're afraid of the Democrats.
Yeah,
they're afraid they're gonna turn all their kids trans and fucking take all their money away and ruin the world. And it's like there's all these like weird divisions, ideological divisions on the left and the right. And, you could see arguments for both sides, where there's rational arguments from the left and rational arguments for some of the Republican ideas. But the problem is we only have two fucking choices. And they're the only two viable choices. The whole system's been kind of co-opted. You can't win if you're a third party.
McDonald's or Burger King. Where's Wendy's? Throw Wendy's in there. The right has a point though in their fear a little bit. Like when it comes to guns and abortion, you're right. Like what you said, it's like the left is so hard line about like, hey man, I should be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And then with guns, they're like, there should be no guns. And you're like, wait, slow down, man.
Right.
That's not true either. Like, stop. Can we have a common sense? A sensible discussion about this.
The vast majority of people who own handguns or own any kind of guns are not ever going to use it to kill a person. They're going to use it either as practice or as hunting or to protect their family. They're going to use it in hopes that they never have to use it. They're going to have it in their home as a form of protection because they know that sometimes shit goes sideways and some crackhead breaks into your house and wants to kill you. That does happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if Paul Pelosi had a pistol.
Yeah.
He would not have got hit in the head with a fucking hammer.
Or at least this fucking Simply Safe account. They don't even have a fucking security alarm on it. I mean, but you're right.
That whole story is strange.
It's a little weird.
And how NBC removed the video where they were describing the scenario when the cops came to the door.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the fuck happened or what didn't happen. I don't even want to speculate.
Right. But sometimes they rush. Sometimes journalists rush because they want to be the first one out, and they get things wrong. So that happens too.
It happens. It happens. Who fucking knows?
Who knows?
But at the end of the day, if that guy had a pistola, that would all have ended right there. Like, get with the hammer. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. It's like you can't just say guns are bad. It's like it depends. Like I had a whole joke about it, like because now I live in the country and I got a gun. It's like, you need a gun. At night, the state troopers take over. I live in a small place. It's like, it takes 20 minutes for the cops to get to your house. Also, there's bears and fucking things that could attack my dog. Like, you need a gun. There's no other. I'm not going to get a fucking bow and arrow. It's like you need a gun.
You need a gun.
And it's completely sensible and it's completely a good thing to have a gun if you live in an area that isn't dense. But then on the flip side, I do see, like, if everyone was packed, strapped in New York, and you get on the train during rush hour, and then like a little, everyone pulls out. It ends like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, Jesus!
I mean, I get it. Like in dense populations, yeah. I mean, it's like so you have to have like a reasonable discussion about it.
But the crazy thing is that in dense populations, they have the most strict gun laws and the most gun violence. Like Chicago has crazy gun laws and a lot of fucking violence. Well, a lot of gun violence.
I think a lot of those guns come over state lines, though. They buy them in Indiana and they move them across. That's why if you're going to have any sensible gun laws, I think it would have to be uniform.
Yeah, but then you're giving the federal government the ability to dictate who does and doesn't have the ability to protect themselves with a firearm.
I see that problem too.
And all the First Amendment people and the Second Amendment people are like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and also I see that problem too. And I think just to piggyback off that, get a little tangential, but when Hillary Clinton recently said she called the Electoral College antiquated, I felt like that was very dangerous and very stupid to say because the country's very different. We're United States of America, and the states are very different. And I think a very good argument can be made that a lot of those states should have more of a say just because they don't have a big population. They serve an important function to the country, and their representation should be heard. And I think you could make a great argument that the Electoral College functions to keep us together. You know what I mean? To keep this thing united. And instead of having those states go, well, fuck you, we're not all trying to be actors in Los Angeles. We have a different culture. And that culture should be respected. And the Electoral College provides those low population states a little bit more say, and it keeps us united. There's a strong argument to be made. And for her to just wholesale call it antiquated is self-serving, fucking naive, and cunty. Can I say that?
I get it from her perspective because she would have won.
Yeah, well, fuck you.
She
That's
won the
self-serving.
popular vote by like 3 million votes.
Yeah, well, fuck you.
3 million people more picked me than the orange guy.
Yeah, well, fuck you. I want to be able to do dates in Iowa, and I wanted to be in the country without a passport when I travel there.
She's like, I could have been the fucking queen. Yeah. I could have taken them all. What do you think the world would have been like if Hillary Clinton won in 2016?
We would all be wearing pussy hats. that would be the new burqa.
Do you think that it would go the other way and there would be a lot more misogyny? Because I have friends that talk to me about, like, black friends that talk to me about the racism went a tick up when Obama was elected. Yeah. Because people were angry, and angry racists were very, very vocal about it.
Yes.
And that you could see people that you didn't even know were racist, and they would say racist things about Obama.
Yeah.
And it shocked them. Yeah. And they're like, why would they want to go through that? Imagine going through that. Yeah. Wouldn't you think the same thing would happen if we had a female leader? Especially if we had a female leader that's not very likable.
So you think
misogyny would kick up?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
And guys who are, there's people that openly hate women. There's women who openly hate men, but they're not as scary. But people who openly hate women, they're fucking spooky for a lot of women. Yeah. And imagine if that kicks up. Yeah. Yeah, if it wasn't for cunts like you, this country wouldn't be like this. You're like, what?
Yeah.
If you're a woman, you're a Democrat, and you're out on the town with a couple of your Democrat friends, and you get confronted by some Republican guy who believes he just lost his job because you voted for the wrong person.
Yeah, probably would. You're right. That probably would have
100%
for sure. And
100%.
She's very unlikable, even by her own party. She's like Jason Voorhees, dude. She just keeps coming back.
Well, she said she's never going to run for president again. So that's pretty good news.
Yeah, that's
unless they
but
call her.
she's-
She's like, clean up.
Yeah. She keeps popping up though, like, you know, she's got some Apple TV show with her daughter where she's sitting there with
Gutsy.
Megan the Stallion.
They're gutsy.
Yeah, they just fucking never go away. But
they're super gutsy.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called?
I guess.
Bro, you know what's
Yeah.
gutsy? Navy SEAls.
Yeah.
That's gutsy.
What those girls are doing in Iran is gutsy.
Yeah, that's gutsy.
Yeah.
Being worth $400 million and talking about how you make balloon animals with your daughter.
Yeah. Moving to a state and throwing a Yankee hat on and then running for senator. I mean, that's
pretty
gutsy.
gutsy.
Yeah, that's gutsy.
That's kind of gutsy.
Yeah, that's kind of gutsy.
Kind of gutsy.
Yeah.
You're not really from there.
Yeah.
You guys are from Arkansas.
Yeah.
You're involved in shady real estate deals in Arkansas
Yeah.
where people got suicided.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little strange.
It's all crazy.
It's you know,
Yeah.
it's like 6 degrees of, you know, what was it? 6 degrees of separation. Kevin Bacon. It's like 6 degrees of death with the Clintons. You're like, I don't know what happened, but it is weird.
That body count, it's unusual.
Yeah.
But again, they're in an unusual business, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many comics do we know that have killed themselves?
Yeah.
You know, that's an unusual business too.
Yeah.
This guy, I mean, when you're dealing with politics and you're dealing with people that are involved in shady businesses and stuff, you do get a certain amount of suicides. Like, didn't one of Bernie Madoff's kids kill himself?
Yeah.
Couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
What an empty, hollow existence. Like this fucking kid in the Bahamas. Imagine it all comes tumbling down. You realize that you swindled people out of their whole life savings. And then, of course, we're just hearing about this now. The stories are going to come out. Like some grandmother who's talked by her son to investing all of her retirement money into crypto, and now she's eating dog food.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to hear those stories.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You don't like what you see. And
Some people are going to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Some people are going to conveniently get suicided after they make odd tweets.
Yeah. Or that.
Or that.
Or that.
That's possible too.
That's possible too, man.
People definitely get whacked, right? Are we denying people get whacked?
No, people get whacked.
People get whacked.
People get whacked.
But when people get whacked, everyone's like, he didn't get whacked.
Yeah.
He hung himself by an extension cord and shot himself in the chest with a shotgun 30 miles from his house.
Yeah.
That was his idea.
Yeah.
He didn't like the life he lived. Yeah. He was involved in Clinton and got Epstein into the White House 7 times, but whatever.
Yeah. People get whacked.
You hear about that guy?
People get put out to pasture.
Do you know about that guy?
No.
This guy was one of the people that worked. He was involved in getting Epstein into the White House on multiple occasions. Hung himself on a ranch.
Really?
30 miles from his home with an extension cord.
Oh,
and
they killed him.
Shot himself in the chest with a shotgun.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, wow.
Family of Bill Clinton advisor who admitted Jeffrey Epstein into the White House 7 times has blocked release of files detailing the death scene after he was found hanging from a tree with a shotgun blast at a ranch 30 miles from his home. Top Clinton advisor Mark Middleton died by suicide at the age of 59. They should put suicide in quotes. At the age of 59, on May 7th, the Perry County Sheriff's Office in Arkansas confirmed. Middleton was President Bill Clinton's special advisor, who admitted Jeffrey Epstein into the White House 7 of the at least 17 times the pedophile visited. The married father of 2, who lived in Little Rock, Arkansas, shot himself at Heifer Ranch in Perryville, 30 miles away from his home. DailyMail.com can now reveal Middleton's father, Larry, and his widow, Rhea, are fighting to keep the photos and other illustrative content of his death sealed.
Why?
The two filed for, because they want to stay alive.
Yeah, I
The
get
two
it.
filed for an
Sarcastically.
injunction arguing that blocking the release of the footage would halt a proliferation of unsubstantiated conspiracy theories.
Unsubstantiated. They should put that in quotes as well.
Arguing that blocking the release of the footage would halt blocking the footage would halt a proliferation of unsubstantiated conspiracy theories. That's an interesting way of. That's like the Streisand effect, though, don't you think?
Yeah, that's the opposite of
Yeah.
what would be true.
The lawsuit claims the family has been harassed by, that's I'm sure true, has been harassed by outlandish, hurtful, unsupported, offensive online articles regarding Middleton and his death. Perry County Sheriff Scott Montgomery said that Middleton was discovered hanging from a tree with a shotgun blast to his chest.
What a way to kill yourself.
Seems like one or the other would suffice. I don't know why you would hang yourself, and then shoot yourself with a shotgun.
Going through a lot of trouble, man.
That's a wild one.
I didn't know about that, and that one is like what you call obviously wild.
Yeah.
That's out
It's
there.
a little sus, as the kids would say.
That's sus, son. That one is sus. That's one of the most sus things I've ever heard.
That's one of like 50
Yeah.
of those stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's real sus.
When you watch House of Cards and you go,
Is that about the Clintons?
people who haven't seen House of Cards just because Kevin Spacey's a dick grabber. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get your aversion. But just try to put that aside. Because it still exists. Can you still watch
Yeah,
it?
I think, and I never got that.
Can you still watch House of Cards on Netflix?
I mean,
hope-
Kevin Spacey did something wrong. The show didn't. You know,
Right.
it's like I never got that.
Yeah, he's an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't take Woody Allen movies from me.
Here it is, House of Cards. You can still watch it. Unavailable on Basic with ads planned due to licensing restrictions. Oh, so it's one of the ones you got to pay for now. Because there's like 2 different tiers of Netflix now. Like there's Netflix with ads now. Have you watched that? How many ads are there? Is it bad?
Pay for it. I think I read it's up to 4 minutes of ads, but I have no idea.
If you just play at the beginning, I'll go take a leak. Keep it running.
All right. Can I get that
Let me
lighter
know.
again?
Yeah. Let me know when it's when the ads are done. Fuck. But that show, when you watch that show, House of Cards, you go, Jesus.
Yeah, even his
I mean,
accent.
how outlandish is this? I mean, how much of you are you making up, and how much of this is real? Or how outlandish is this?
I would say probably 90% real, 10% made up.
Yeah, there's got to be a percentage of that that's real,
When you're dealing with power like that, and
or at least feasible.
yeah,
Like that could be a thing that happens.
beyond feasible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're not saints, you know.
And it's not like we know they used to do it like that, right?
Yeah.
We know that's how they used to do it.
Yeah.
So at what point in time do we assume that the government cleaned up all the corruption and became beautiful?
Would that be true?
It was very evident that the shotgun worked because there was not a lot of blood or anything on the scene. You can tell shotgun blast was on his chest. You can tell that because there was a hole in the chest and pellets come out of his back. It was definitely a self-inflicted, in our opinion.
How would that make not a lot of blood if there's a hole through his chest?
Wait, why is the guy killing himself?
He found a tree and pulled a table over there. He got on that table and then he took an extension cord and put it around a limb, put it around his neck, and shot himself in the chest with a shotgun. See, the problem is, like, when it says it was definitely self-inflicted, in our opinion, like, how would you know? Like, why would you think that that is definitely self-inflicted? All you should know is that he was shot with a shotgun while he was hung from a tree.
Nobody shoots himself with a shotgun in the chest.
Right, and is there a toxicology examination?
Yeah,
Was he drugged before that? Was he alive when it happened? Did they force him into that? Was there signs of struggle? You know, how do you know that it was self-inflicted? And because there was not a lot of blood, I assume that's because the shotgun wound to the chest cauterized, maybe because it was close range. I mean, is that, what would cause there to be no blood?
But the fact was he was also hanging. Like what?
One or the other, buddy.
Yeah.
And you can I mean, if you want to put a shotgun in your face, that's definitely going to kill you.
Yeah, usually don't people swallow guns?
Sometimes people do it wrong and they blow the front of their face off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Tony knows a guy like that.
Oh.
It's like missing his face because he tried to kill himself and lived.
Oh. Yeah, like those guys who jumped off the bridge and lived.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it's gotta hurt.
Oh.
Yeah.
A bunch of people have survived that jump too, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like the Golden Gate one. You see that documentary on the Golden Gate one? A friend of mine did that.
Really?
Yeah.
And lived.
No.
Died.
No, he killed himself on the bridge. Knew him for years. Yeah.
What's interesting is those guys that did that, they all say, like, once they jumped, they regretted it. Like, in the air, the ones who lived, like, oh, fuck, I should have done that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But, you know, you want a way out of that fucking horrible feeling.
I know. But there always is a way out.
Generally,
if you just
there's a way
wait.
out.
Yeah, you just don't do that. You get
help.
I think a lot of it is the shame of getting help or something like.
Well, there's a lot of people, too, that get older and they just think their life is a just fucking disaster that can't be fixed. And it keeps getting worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's never a good thing.
And there's a lot of people that let Jeffrey Epstein in the White House every time. So. maybe Maybe there's something more to it. But you can't say that. If you say that, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, well, some conspiracies are just seem not like conspiracies.
Yeah, they seem kind of real.
Yeah, that one, you know. And yeah, you find out a lot. There's a few examples in history that we're talking about on the way over here that you're like, oh, that's not a conspiracy. It ended up being true.
Well, for
Gulf
sure.
of Tonkin.
Yeah, and for sure in other parts of the world, if you're involved in some sort of a thing where you have information that can get some sort of a leader in trouble, they're going to whack you.
They're gonna. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Russia, people just slip out of windows all the time.
How about Jamal Khashoggi? How about that story?
Oh, the journalist?
Yeah, the journalist that
yeah.
they killed at the embassy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, people in power, will do that.
Yeah.
It's
a real thing. House of Cards.
Yeah, they do it a lot. I mean,
They seem to do it.
yeah, they seem to do it a
It
lot.
seems like it's happened before.
Yeah, dude.
It should be something that people consider.
Yeah.
Instead, people are like, I mean, probably not.
That's not possible.
Nah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
How would they do that again?
Yeah, there's a little like American dissonance, like cognitive dissonance, where we believe like we're different from other places. Like that could never happen here. Leaders wouldn't do that here.
Not here.
You're like, yeah,
No.
power's the same everywhere, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you remember when Hillary Clinton was doing an interview and they were talking about Libya after Muammar Gaddafi
Yeah.
got captured and killed?
She's cackling.
She was laughing. She
Yeah.
goes, "We came, we saw, he died." Ha 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 ha.
That evil laugh. Yeah.
But that is a crazy thing to laugh about. Not just to do it. Like, look, if an evil dictator gets taken out, that's terrible. I mean, there was an evil dictator. It's terrible that this guy was running this country. It's terrible that this guy was, abusing power and killing people and all the things that I'm sure that guy did. But then when he dies and you're laughing about it.
To emote like that at the news of his death shows that you're kind of like him. You kind of have some, you're not, better. It's sort of an insight, a little glimpse into who you really are.
And didn't the United States prop him up at one point in time?
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, we propped up a lot of bad guys.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of deals with the devil. We've had to choose a lot of times the lesser of two evils. Sometimes I get that,
Do you think that with all this exposure to this stuff, all the open discussions of this stuff in America, like it's less and less prevalent? Do you think because more people are aware of all this stuff and more people are aware of these, before this would be in a fucking newspaper somewhere and then it'd be gone.
Yeah.
Nobody would hear about it.
I don't know. That's a good question.
But now like people have websites.
Yeah.
Like tally up all the people that conveniently disappeared.
It's harder to get away with now.
It's harder.
Definitely, and it gets out there. Yeah. I think, 9/11 was the beginning of that in a lot of ways. Those kids made that Loose Change documentary. And look, obviously a lot of it's proven wrong, but there are a few things where you go like, that's a little weird. That's a little weird.
Well,
a few of the aspects.
Here's the weirdest one, where the Saudi royals or the Saudi people were allowed to leave the country when
That's
all the
a little
airspace
weird.
was shut.
Yeah,
They're
a little
like,
weird.
What happened? What deals did you guys make?
It's a little sus. Yeah, his family members took planes.
Weird.
Yeah, passport survived.
Well, I think when anything happens, anytime there's an event, a big event, people take advantage of it. Whether they orchestrated it, that's a totally different kind of conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah.
But no one denies that governments capitalize on chaos. They capitalize on crises. They capitalize on problems.
Disaster capitalism, yeah.
They move in.
Yeah.
Move in. Tighten down the reins. We got to fix this. Patriot Act. TSA.
Yeah.
Let me check your shoes.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always healthy to question those things. That's the whole point of this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, there was this dude, I won't, get out this big show. But anyway, a guy, and I believed him, right? He's a former military guy. And he was in Iraq. And he said, just talking about the military-industrial complex, he was like, a lot of what they told us to do was just go into the desert and we would just dump artillery. We would just dump it. Just like it was a way to get rid of old artillery so we can make more, so more can be ordered. If they just go and they would just level, just fucking drop it. Yeah, and it was off the books, off the river. It was hush-hush on the QT.
Well, if you want to keep that money coming in.
I believed him when what he said it and he explained to me and the way he was talking about it and the way he knew it. He would, I was just like, Oh, that's something someone who was there knows.
Here's a good question. How much accounting is there of how many bullets get shot?
I don't know. Yeah.
How much accounting?
I have no clue.
You know, like how many times did you pull the trigger? What
Yeah.
happened? How many
Yeah.
times did you hit people? Like, is there accounting? I don't think there's like.
Probably not.
How could you in the chaos of war?
Yeah, who is there's no like there's no Justice Department for the military in that way. I guess the military does it somehow, or is there sort of internal affairs for the military that checks that stuff? I don't think there is. So maybe
You know, that's what scares me about riots and protests. I think there's like a thing about human beings when we get large groups of people together on the ground encountering other large groups of people. Things get real primal. People go back to like these strange instincts that we had when that was how war was taking place. Like if you were alive in the 1200s and war broke out, it broke out on the ground. Like you're running at each other and hacking each other, and it's like a riot,
Right.
like a crazy elevated super riot, but way worse, right? War, killing, death, destruction, people coming at other people. Like I think people have like this automatic, like there's a weird thing that happens when there's like a group mind if there's a riot, and people are capable of things they would never be capable of any other time. Like it's almost like you go into like war mode. You know, like you go into like this primal, like everyone's IQ drops and everyone gets like goes back in evolution, like 50,000 years. Like everyone gets crazy again.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you have a programmed reaction to large groups of people involved in like heavy duty, like real conflict. Like windows are getting shattered, bombs are going off, people are screaming, things are getting lit on fire. Like people get in that mindset.
Yeah.
Very like during the George Floyd protests when you saw people lighting buildings on fire and smashing windows, and cops were standing by while people are looting stores. Like, whoa, this is scary.
Yeah, there's maybe it's that that frenzied energy, that group think that just escalates. You're right.
It escalates.
Maybe it triggers something.
Yeah, I think it triggers like some old timey shit that's in our DNA.
Yeah.
Because I think you had to be ready for when the shit went down if you lived 10,000 years ago.
Right.
Because the shit would go down like that.
Right.
Like people just hack each other up.
Right.
Like people charge at you like, like almost like everybody has to act together in this chaotic group.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's something that happens to humans when they're in a group where it escalates. Like,
Yeah.
You even feel it when you're a comedian, when you have like a big crowd. There's like, you feel this surge of fucking energy from them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's real. Like you feel like you could crush a building with your hands. It's like the energy is really like there's a difference between performing for 7 people and performing for the crowds you do. I'm sure you feel like a fucking, you know, it's like it's kind of like what dictators feel. And then maybe
Well, you feel like an orchestrator. Honestly, you feel like you're like a conductor. Like you're just kind of like getting out of your own way and trying to like navigate it and bring everybody together with the jokes and put the bits together correctly and have this wave all come together. That's what you do. You're trying to get out of your own way, really.
But you feel an energy from them that sort of invigorates you.
You get excited for sure, but the goal is always to perform the best you can, which if you're thinking about that energy, you're fucking up.
Right.
Like you really can't think about that. You really got to think about the bits. You got to be engaged, almost like these are individuals, and you're talking to them almost one-on-one.
Yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise you get in your own way.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in your own way. Like, you're just trying to do the best with the moment, and you're almost like a passenger as much as you're the driver.
Maybe you've gotten really used to it, because whenever I do big crowds, I feel like I feel powerful.
Maybe you should never be a dictator.
I feel like jacked up. Like
Yeah.
I feel like their energy, and I feel like just real jacked up, ready for like if we were like if I was like you know got a standing ovation, I was like, you know what, let's go fucking trash this casino. Like I feel that like murderous kind of energy.
He's as fun as
There's a thin line.
Yeah. Well, people that are in control of large groups of people, it's like we were talking about with the sex cults.
It's intoxicating.
Yeah,
a little bit. It's an elixir.
Gotta be.
Yeah,
It's gotta be.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, humans are not supposed to have that kind of control over that many people.
yeah.
And if they did, it was usually like they were the greatest warrior and the chief of the tribe, and there's only 150 people.
Yeah.
And you knew that guy, he knows where all the poison plants are, he knows how to get water, he's fucking got the most scars on his face, he survived.
Yeah,
And now it's the guy with the microphone.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes they're morons.
yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know they're morons, which is even scarier.
Yeah.
Like, as long as the moron knows they're a moron, I think we're probably better off.
You do a good job of that because you've risen to a point where there's a large group, whether you're performing live or whether you're doing this, and you temper yourself well. You keep yourself humble and down to earth. That's not easy.
You got to stay normal as much as you can. I think one of the ways that I do that, I mean, I always talk about this ad nauseum, but it's working out really hard. Like, I brutalize myself so that, like, and cold plunges and saunas and shit like that. Put yourself through difficult shit so that, like, you have a humility because you're constantly, like, feeling your weakness and your breaking point. You're constantly exhausted and pushing through. You're constantly, like, reevaluating your capabilities. Like, if you push yourself to the point of exhaustion, every time you're doing that and you know you have like 30 seconds left in the round and you want to quit, but you don't quit, you're pushing yourself past this very difficult moment. And in that, you get humbled because you're like, oh my God, I'm such a bitch. And then you sit down and like you get exhausted and you wait for that minute to get up and then you do it again. And if you could force yourself into doing that, you are very, like, obviously confronted with your limitations, obviously confronted with your weaknesses and like where your willpower is and your character. The most willful person, the most disciplined person is still pretty fucking weak. Still pretty weak. You can only sprint for like how long? Yeah. You know, like you don't have much in you. You know,
so you're constantly confronted with human limitations, and that sort of informs your humility.
I think there's something to that. I really do. I think there's something that people that have experienced too much comfort and no discomfort at all, and no testing of their boundaries physically, because people equate testing of your boundaries physically with being like a meathead. But I think it's much more mental than people want to give it credit, because I think in overcoming your will to quit, because there's a strong urge to quit when you're working out really hard, a strong urge to quit when you're in the sauna, it's 15 minutes in, you got 10 more minutes, you're like, fuck this. There's a strong urge to quit. But in overcoming that strong urge to quit, it builds a mental fortitude, and it builds an understanding of your limitations, not of your strengths, really. Because you're not really impressed with your strengths if you can only do 3 minutes in the fucking cold plunge. You're not impressing yourself. At the end of the day, you can't wait to get out of that fucking thing because you're weak, right? So you can't believe you're something special. You're not something special. You almost froze to death.
That makes a lot of sense. I get that. Like, that hits all the way home. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think everyone, and it shouldn't just be the kind of workouts I do. Do yoga, go on fucking long hikes, climb hills, do something physical that humiliates you or humbles you, something that where you know that you have limitations. That's why, like, martial arts people, jiu-jitsu people, they're some of the nicest, friendliest people ever.
Yeah,
they're always exhausted, and they're always getting their ass handed to them in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, even the best of the best are humble.
Yeah.
You know, in many ways.
A little bit in comedy too. You know, joke doesn't
yeah.
work. You get humble. You're like, ugh. You think you're better than you are. Then you have a bad show, and you're like, yeah.
Sure. And if you really think you're better than the audience or you're better than the material, you're the best. You can be confronted with reality real quick.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I had this. I had an interesting thought about you too. Has there ever been anyone in the world, in the history of the world, and this is going to be, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but I don't think there has, who's talked to as many people for as long? Like, I don't think, like, that's some new shit. I'm serious. Like,
in a way,
you have
especially
talked
someone like me, for sure, that's not even that educated.
No, but you
gets
just
to talk to scientists and
yeah, I'm just saying, like, the amount and for as long and as intimately, like, what is that doing to your fucking, like, that's never been done. Nobody's ever talked to the amount of people that you have talked to for as long as you've talked, as intimately as you've talked, like, hours a week for so long. You've got so much, like, of other people's energy and information, and like there's so, like, nobody's ever done that probably in the history of the world. Nobody's talked to as many people. It's crazy. Like, what does that do? Like, you gotta, I don't know. That's a new thing. You may be the only dude on the planet who's ever existed who's interacted with so many people's energies on such an intimate level.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way. I just think that I like to do it. So I just keep doing it. I think if I thought about it like that, I'd probably go crazy.
It's wild though, right? When you think
Yeah, you could go crazy. You could go crazy and think you're special or something. I've just done it a long time. I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm good at doing. What I'm good at doing is doing things a lot.
Yeah.
I'm good at that. I'm good at like whether I get obsessed with something like playing pool.
Yeah.
I just play a lot. I get obsessed with it. Like martial arts, get obsessed with it. I get obsessed with things.
Have you found any commonalities? Have you,
Yeah,
about
sure.
All
Yeah,
these
yeah,
different
yeah.
types of people you've talked to?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Any huge insights?
Yeah, because there's like core aspects of people that are fascinating. Curiosity is fascinating. People's intellectual discipline and their ability to ascertain whether or not they're being accurate or objective and how they're looking at things and whether they've steel-manned an argument against that, or whether or not they're ideologically captured by whether it's a religious thing or a political thing. Like, why do they think the way they think? And the really fascinating people they've thought of that, and they've analyzed their thoughts, and their conclusions are more based on an objective assessment of reality and of information than of people that are ideologically based. The ideologically based people often fall apart under questioning, and that's fascinating too. It's fascinating when you confront someone with facts that go against their ideology. And and I've experienced it personally. It's uncomfortable personally when you realize like, oh, I have like a flaw in the way I'm thinking. And like that, I should look at things differently. Like, why am I thinking it this way? Oh, I've always thought of things this way, and I just accept that this is the way things should be. But how much have I really looked at it? And then also, you like what I was saying that some people have, like my friend Cam has really good eyes. My eyes suck. Some people have better brains. They just do. Their brains work quicker. They're faster. They have more capacity for information. They can disseminate information better. They're better at communicating. They're better at assessing things and analyzing things. And there's a lot of people that are really good at getting out of their own way, and there's a lot of people that aren't. Those people are fascinating too. The people that are constantly tripping over their own dick and fucking up their life, and then some of those people are brilliant. Some of those people are some of the best artists.
Yeah.
Right?
I say those are probably your comedy crew. You're like, these guys like to get
lot
their own
of
way.
them. A lot of them, but some of my favorite people step on their own dick.
Yeah.
It's part of being a human, man. And we're always pointing fingers and like trying to say, look what you did, and look what she did, and look what you said. And those situations are like this fucking FTX thing's fascinating.
Yeah.
I was reading about Elizabeth Holmes today.
I don't.
Fascinating.
She's.
Yeah. I'm so obsessed with those kind of people that just make up some fake technology and con super wealthy people into hundreds of millions of dollars investing in their company.
Yeah.
Self-made billionaire,
Yeah.
and then now facing fucking 20 years in jail.
Yeah.
And she owes $100 million plus.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Those people exist.
I'm fascinated with psychopaths. Maybe she is one, maybe she's not. But they, the way they're so loose with the truth. They just make up anything.
I think they get captured by success too. They want it to keep rolling. They find ways to fudge the numbers and move the needle around and make it look like everything's better than it is. And eventually we'll all work it out. It'll all be fine.
But certain people just don't have that conscious.
Right.
They don't have that guilt or conscious, like I'm lying. It's just not there.
Yeah.
They just go.
And I think there's probably a benefit to that. Like in some businesses to be a sociopath?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. They're unencumbered by guilt. I mean, that's true freedom.
You make decisions based on what's good for you.
Yeah. You don't think about anyone else. That's freedom right there.
Yeah, you make a phone call, next thing you know, a guy's hanging from a tree.
Yeah. With a shotgun blast in his fucking chest.
Yeah. Yannis Pappas, you're the fucking man. Always love talking to you.
I love talking to you. Thanks for
I was
having
really
me.
excited to talk to you. So all this crazy shit's going on. I'm like, I know you're going to have opinions on things.
Yeah, well, we had a fun time. Yeah.
Always, my brother.
Yeah.
Are you doing Kill Tony tonight?
No, he said he overbooked it. It was a long time ago he booked it, so he's got. I think Segura is doing it. I said I'll do it next time. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm going to come through and probably check it out, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, my brother.
Yeah.
It's always good to see you.
Good to
Tell
see you.
everybody your social media, your podcast, all that jazz.
Yeah, Long Days with Yannis Pappas. It's just me solo, ranting away and having fun, and then. All my live dates, I'm on the road a lot, so YannisPappasComedy.com. Just check it out. I'll be in Detroit next, December 1st through the 3rd, Chicago, San Fran.
What are you doing in Detroit?
I'm doing the House of Comedy.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Nice. Detroit's fun.
Yeah.
Wild people over there.
It's a wild town.
Yeah.
Formerly, like former king. It's like that used to be
Yeah.
the richest city in America.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It is crazy.
Made all the fucking greatest muscle cars ever.
Yep. Now it's, I don't know.
Well, that's
Now-
kind of on the come up a little bit.
Tech's coming there, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening there, but it's like, fuck, what happened there?
Yeah.
Kind of wild. That was like the 1950s. Just 70 plus years later, it's a wreck.
Oh, dude, when you look at old videos on YouTube about just of like the middle of the day, how
Let's find a
packed it is.
video of Detroit in the heyday. Let's end on that. Let's take a look at what Detroit looked like in the 1950s when it was one of the wealthiest cities in the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts. And then you can buy a house for like $10.
Literally. There's a tree growing through the middle of it. Did you ever see those guys from Top Gear? They did that.
No.
They went and they bought a house in Detroit for like $500. Like, this is Detroit.
That's nuts, dude. It looks like New York now.
Detroit, the fabulous 50s. Look at it. Everything's beautiful.
Damn.
All these amazing cars. Look at everyone's driving around. It looks so clean and beautiful.
Packed. The streets are packed. Look at that.
Look at everybody's dressed real nice and waving at people and shit. And look how beautiful those cars are.
Yeah. I mean, it's alive.
Look at this. Thriving. It was thriving. And the walls come tumbling down. Look at that. Look at how it looked back then. Fuck, man. So many beautiful cars.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you very much. It's always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Joe.
Goodbye, everybody.